And welcome back to the Loco Experience podcast. My guests today are Meredith McCrindle and Jai McDowall.
Yes.
And Meredith is harpist to King Charles of sorts. I know you're not supposed to say it quite
No,
like
you're
that.
really not supposed to say
But
that.
I can say whatever I want. You can correct me. And Jai is the winner of Britain's Got Talent season
5.
5.
Yep.
And they're going to be doing a concert here in Fort Collins in a few days for one of my good friends and Rotary Club members and her nonprofit. And so I had a chance to come into the podcast.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us, Scott.
Jai, how would you describe your musical style? Like what got you the prize? Just a big voice.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I've been singing since I was very small, and because of that, I sort of picked up a lot of styles along the way. And right before Britain's Got Talent in 2011, I had joined a few amateur dramatics groups in the area, and one of those groups happened to put on a musical called Chess, which was written by Tim Rice and Bjorn, I can't say his second name, but the guy from ABBA.
Okay.
And there was, and I ended up getting the main part in that musical, and then that kind of ignited my love for musical theatre, and as a result of that, the song that I sang on my very first audition was called Anthem, and it's from the musical Chess. And so I sort of, because I went on with musical theatre, I then sort of transitioned into this crossover world, which was like pop, but with orchestra.
Okay. Yeah.
And for the listeners, if you've ever come across Josh Groban or Susan Boyle, it's sort of the similar style to that.
Okay. You're going to find out I'm not very cultured.
And that's fine. but
I say I'm an inch deep and a mile wide. I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Nice. I like that, to be fair. It's good. And and so I sang Anthem from a musical. I then sang Bring Me to Life, which was an Evanescence song, but instead of being
Very
rocky, again, it was with an orchestra. So it had a slightly different feel. And then in the final of Britain's Got Talent, I sang To Where You Are, which is a Josh Groban song, and it was written by the songwriter Richard Marx. So it's a very lovely song, very touching, and yeah, I'd still sing it to
Again
this
with
day.
an orchestra backing?
Yes, yeah.
So that sounds like kind of the, hey, check me out. I got a voice that's big enough to contend with an orchestra.
It's very loud.
I'll take that.
that seems like the formula, just for my amateur ears here.
I've
You're
been
right.
very lucky to have performed with many an orchestra in the last 13 years, and it's not something I take for granted. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Even though I do have a big voice, and sometimes people turn me down because I'm too loud.
You're never too loud.
You never know. I've almost broken some PAs, but
It's the sound engineer's fault.
don't blame the sound engineer. Be nice to the sound engineer. They make you sound good or bad, depending
Or
on.
turn you down.
And so when was this?
So I was on Britain's Got Talent back in 2011. So
It was 11.
almost 14 years ago.
And then you've just been riding the coattails of that success since then. You get to travel all around and do stuff.
Pretty much. Pretty much. No, I've been.
You've been all over the world.
Yeah, I've been everywhere.
Wow,
I've
that's
been
crazy.
to China. I've came here to.
Do they all get careers like that? Like if you're actually the winner, you pretty much got some kind of a golden goose ticket,
Yeah.
or are you just better than most of the other winners that kind of sucked after that?
I don't know if that's entirely true.
There's
but
no one-hit wonders.
It's to be fair, my journey wasn't all plain sailing. It it started off really well, and I had such a good career for about a year, and then it sort of died down for a little bit, and it became something that because I went from being how I would term it a Joe Blogs, so a normal guy,
Sure.
to being in the music industry pretty much overnight,
Right.
because of the show, and so in the first year you are assigned like management, and you're signed to Sony BMG or
Sure.
whatever it may be, Psycho, which is Simon Cowell's label, and you have people around you who do things for
Yeah,
you
and know what the industry's like and stuff.
Yeah, so they take care of everything, and then when they go away, it's just like, oh my god, what is this?
Interesting.
And it was almost, you know, trial by fire,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
had to learn really quickly, not only what the business was all about, but also how to conduct myself,
Sure.
and how to deal with sound engineers and, you know, tour managers
Right.
and venue managers.
Well, if you built your
and-
career over 10 years or
Yeah.
15 years of slaving it out, starting
Yeah.
in clubs for $50 plus free
Yeah.
drinks, you know, then you know all
then
that
you
stuff.
know that,
Yeah.
and I was, I mean, you know, it wasn't. I was very fortunate. My dad, as a singer, he's played in bands my entire life, and so I actually did start singing with him when I was about 14. So I did the pub circuit and the working men's clubs, and I don't know if you have that in this country, but we you know I
It wasn't
earned my
totally foreign
stripes,
to
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, although it was a bigger beast and the industry was bigger, and it did open up a lot of doors to the rest of the world, basically.
Sure.
It was I wasn't green at performing as such,
Sure.
but it was just different, and so yeah, so it's just been a lot of hard work and perseverance, really.
Yeah, sure.
And then, you know, you meet wonderful people like Meredith here, and they bring you to the States to do gigs, and it's just magic.
Yeah, what a neat thing.
We've done a lot of things. I've made you do a lot of.
You have. I learned a whole new word when I've been here in
Is he like an
in the
indentured
States.
servant of sorts?
He kind of is.
Yeah.
I've adopted him.
Do what Meredith says,
Like
and my life
it
is
is.
just
Yeah.
easier.
To be fair, you're not wrong.
I don't know if easier. great word.
I learned a new term here in America since I got here about a week and a half ago, and it's voluntold.
Oh, yeah.
Not volunteered, voluntold, and Meredith likes to voluntold. Voluntel me?
We
Voluntel me.
make up
Definitely.
a lot of words, and one I was just thinking about was perseverance. That's
Perseverance?
perspiration
Is that
plus
like sweat? Yeah.
perseverance. So you got to sweat
a lot
for a
of
long
sweat.
time.
I like it.
Like you got to work
Yes.
hard for a long time, and then eventually you get your business to work or whatever that looks like.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Meredith. The not officially the King's
I'm
Harpist.
definitely not officially the King's Harpist at all. Or you're gonna get me beheaded. It's no. I have played for King Charles. I have. And I think I can kind of officially say that, but I have to
Like
be
how many
careful.
times you've played. And
Yeah,
dates,
it's all
and
very.
You can't really talk about who was
No.
there.
No. It's yeah. I got in trouble for it
Yeah.
many times.
Hey, can you share that?
I can. Well, I can share that story.
Let's
so.
just talk about why you're here in Fort
Yeah.
Collins, Colorado, in this podcast studio
Well, and I
a
think-
little bit. Maybe
yeah.
that's worthy.
That's a
Set
good
the stage.
segue to from being voluntold.
Well, because you were like, I'm going to go to Colorado, Jai. Why don't you come with me and do
Yeah.
some sing stuff?
Well, and so my family's from Colorado. My mom was born and raised in Aurora. I have a huge family in Loveland, and they were actually all originally from Berthoud,
Oh, okay.
and Fort Collins, and
Gotcha.
so northern Colorado is kind of my second home. I grew up in Texas, but we spent every summer here.
Oh, you were those kind of Texans.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
I like those kind of Texans.
Oh,
just
thanks.
for
Well,
the-
I'm glad.
Like they're way better than Californians.
But no, I mean, Colorado's definitely in my blood. And so I met Jai, of course, in Scotland. I moved across to St. Andrews in 2009 and then to Ayrshire in 2011, the same year that Jai won Britain's Got Talent.
Okay.
I didn't actually own a TV, though, so I didn't know who you were. I know, I'm really sorry.
Terrible.
Right.
Terrible friend.
And were you studying music at St. Andrews?
I was studying management in the creative industries for
Okay.
my postgraduate degree.
Okay.
In 2009. The reason for that was I went to my undergraduate degree in New Orleans in Louisiana. Before, during, and after Hurricane Katrina.
Oh.
So I moved there in 2004. Katrina hit 2005 in August, and then I was, we all left. So New Orleans is a beautiful place. The people are beautiful. The food is amazing. The music scene is awesome. I went there to study jazz. Jazz is really hard, especially on harp, and it is a thing. But I turned more orchestral, and Hurricane Katrina hit, of course, and I actually spent that semester at CSU.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I moved
cool.
up here. And then I graduated in New Orleans, and it was a dangerous city. I mean, post Hurricane Katrina, it was really hard. It was
Is
hard
it still tough or
I haven't
less bad?
I haven't been back
Right.
for a
right.
long
I mean,
time.
like even downtown Denver ain't what she used to be.
Yeah.
You know, Minneapolis, Chicago, even.
Yeah, I think all cities have their spots. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up outside of Houston. Houston's
Right.
very similar.
And a lot of them had a rotten spot, and the rotten spot just got worse.
Really bad. Yeah. So I think the final straw for me was somebody got shot in front of my house, and
Oh.
I thought I should probably move. So I started looking for safer places to live, and the safest place that I found was indeed Scotland.
Is that right?
Yes.
Is it still?
It's really safe. I mean,
Well, because we
it's
hear
all-
so much about the rape gangs and stuff in the
England,
UK.
that's
but
England.
the Scottish
England.
are like, no, you can stay
Yeah, they
over
built a
there.
wall for a reason.
Oh, is that
Hadrian's
right?
Wall
Okay.
is up for a reason. It's,
Well, I thought
it's
they
a
were kind
joke,
of subject to whatever
not
Britain
what-
said. It's just too cold for the. for-
Yeah, you have to be pretty strong.
Too
to-
cold.
to-
It was minus 21 here like 2 weeks ago.
I know, but it's a different kind of cold. Here,
Yeah, you're a
it's
little
dry.
I mean, to be fair, I went
Yeah.
to the gym this morning and I wore shorts outside.
I know. You're a tough Scotsman.
Your dad
that's
was
why.
like, "What are you doing?"
I listened to a podcast recently that said that kind of the reason America prospered in so many ways is because the Scotch-Irish blood that came over here kind of infiltrated lots of different places and made everybody tougher and smarter.
That's totally true.
I'll take that.
Increased
It's true.
the alcohol consumption was the only downside to all
Well,
that. But
I
That's
mean,
not a downside. Surely no.
you've got to
Surely
get through
not.
life somehow.
I know.
Right.
Well, and most interesting fact that I found from living in Scotland, and I love history. Like wherever I go, I want to know about the history of the place and the
Yeah,
people. And that was when Scotland's fight for independence, which we lost to the English, unfortunately.
Right.
I know. But they were shipped out to America. They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
set on ships and said, get out. And those were the same people that fought in the American Revolution. The
Right,
same guys.
right.
They fought 2 wars. Like one in Scotland, they were kicked out. They lost. And they're
Right.
like, we're not losing this one.
Right.
We're
Oh, you mean we
out.
get to fight those sons of bitches. that
Yeah, let's do it. And they did. And they won the second time,
like it.
and we
So
have
really,
America.
you didn't really like research the whole world, and you were like, okay, I'm moving to Scotland because it's safe. Were you pretty?
No, it
Had
just
to be some
happened that
other
way.
Stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, I moved out of
Do you have family roots? Maybe you have kind of a British-looking face.
Scottish,
or
for
Scottish,
sure,
for
for sure.
whatever. Not British.
British
Sorry.
looking face. I like
British
it.
looking-
Well, I'm a student
are
of-
white.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Though.
McCrindle. I don't know if that's a maiden name or not, but it sounds a
It's
very
not. No.
Isles kind of a name too.
Yes, no. McCrindle is a Scottish name.
Is it? Okay.
My former husband was Scottish, or is. Well, he's still alive. He is Scottish.
He remains Scottish, just
He-
no
he
longer your
does.
husband.
Correct.
Yes, I've got it. Figured that
It's a
out.
very small clan, but it's a very nice name, so I'm going to keep the name. But
But that was part of the draw, at least.
It
I mean,
was
you
totally
could have
the
moved
draw.
to Minnesota or
yes. So
Scotland or whatever.
my parents made a deal. They said, look, move out of New Orleans. You can go anywhere you want for your postgraduate, for your master's degree, but get out of New Orleans. And I was like, that's fair. That's
Right.
fair. So during the summer, I went on tour with Spinal Tap. That was a fun story.
Okay.
And then they said, okay, you've had fun. Let's get serious. What do you want to do?
As the harpist for Spinal Tap? Is that...
I was not the harpist, I was a production coordinator, so I
Oh,
was actually
okay.
on crew.
Gotcha. Okay.
Great fun, like best summer. And then I said, I want to go to London. I love London. London is brilliant to visit. To live, I didn't feel safe. I found an apartment and I just
That
thought
was 15 years ago.
it was not safe then.
Think how you feel now.
Yeah, I know. And it is
But at
a
least
great
there's
city.
cameras watching everything you do at all times.
Yeah.
Sorry.
everywhere, everywhere. Yeah, that's totally a thing.
Can't pee in the street anymore.
Are you
Right.
sad about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Actually, that's not
There's
true.
cameras.
And I don't know why I'm bringing this up. You actually can pee in the street in London. They have urinals in the street.
Stop it.
Oh, I swear to God.
What?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Really?
In certain points of the
Do
city.
you know where they all are? Have you mapped them out?
Because when I drink, I like to pee.
Right. I don't want to go in someplace
sometimes
and buy a
outside.
beer. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. No, you
Are we, though?
were telling a story.
I don't think so.
I'm from North Dakota, so like public urination is like you just pee on the tractor tire or whatever,
fair
right?
enough.
Like you just,
Wow.
like there was no
enough.
bathrooms for 8
miles.
miles at times.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And
It'd be great to be a man.
That is great.
I flashed to a thought of my wife and I taking exchange students pretty regularly because we don't have any kids of our own and just short periods of adulting, I like to call it.
Yep.
And we've got a young man from Finland now.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know, months ago now, maybe in the first month he was here, Jill had a technique of going in the bathroom immediately after Lenny came out of his bedroom to wake up in the morning and had to go pee. And I'm like, dude, pee outside. Like, there's a whole corner over there that's super private from the neighbors. It's all whatever. And he's like, no. And I'm like, dude, you got to punch your man card. You're 18 now. And
Just pee outside.
just go pee outside.
great.
Like, you need
I mean,
to,
I have 2 boys. I do understand.
They should. I mean, everybody should have. I mean, it doesn't mean you should do it everywhere.
It's easier for men.
It is easier for men, and I try to avoid like neighborhoods, even like sometimes in a commercial district or something. Be like, oh yeah, I can pee here. Yeah.
You might get arrested.
might
might
get
get
arrested. You have to have a high confidence of not being arrested. That's kind of that's basically the criteria.
Yeah.
Like, how bad do I have to pee, and what's my likelihood of being arrested?
I've learned so much already.
I'm so sorry. I love that. That was a good segue. So back
Is
to
it
you.
a segue? To what?
I don't know.
See, that's why people listen to this podcast is the squirrel chase thing. So you got hooked into this kind of Scottish music scene, and
And then I found this one. I mean, the Scottish music scene was. I mean, I went there for a management degree, and then I met Simon, my former husband, and he moved me across to the west coast to Ayrshire, where Jai is from. And so
You said I met this one like that was
like this one right here,
Me.
Jai.
so. So you are.
No.
No.
You're just
professionally.
friends.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. No, we're good pals.
And do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a boyfriend?
No, single. Very.
And you're
very
both
single.
that way?
Yeah.
We did
Okay.
decide that we'd have beautiful children.
We did at one point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realised that you potentially could move away to Colorado.
Yeah, I know. I'd
But then you
move
could
here in a
follow
heartbeat.
her, and then you could
It's
be
far too
back and
cold here.
forth.
Sorry.
It's-
I love
Dude,
it. It's beautiful.
It is not.
It is. It's freezing.
Dude,
The snow. I
but
tried
this
to
is-
make a snowball.
Have you been here in any
And-
time from April through October?
He's never
No.
been here before.
No,
This
this
Well,
is
is
his
the
then
first
you
time.
shush. You're wrong.
But look,
Like, I guarantee you, if you spent a year in Colorado, you'd be like, oh my God, the weather is so much fucking better here all the time
It
than
is
in
fair
beautiful.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it's sunny.
I mean, I find it
I miss-
beautiful right now with all the snow, so
Sure.
I'm pretty sure in the sunshine. We'll
Without
travel
having the
together. I
pressure
came here
of-
by myself.
Oh,
That's true.
all by yourself?
All by myself. I made it
Wow.
all the way here, all by myself at 38 years old. I'll tell you.
Wow, you're only 38, huh?
Yeah. Whoa. God, jeez, man.
I mean, you won the talent thing in 2011, so I just thought maybe you were a little older than you were
I
at
was
that time.
24, almost 25.
And Meredith, how old are you, if I may?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Apparently, you don't ask.
Is it because you don't date
but,
older women? Is that
that's
why you guys aren't together?
Yeah, that's it. I just can't risk her dying before me.
Yeah.
I'd be destroyed. Oh my.
Right. Oh, well, we can take care of that. I should kill you right now. I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, there'd be no risk of her dying before
That's
you
true.
if she killed you right now.
That is true.
I mean, just logically speaking.
Let's just hope that.
Okay,
none of that
so-
happens.
Anyway, wait to the gig and then.
So you
So-
guys
If the
are
gig is a gig.
you guys are here
Yes.
this week and leaving pretty soon, like in a week from now or less. Going back to the Scotland.
Yeah, back to Scotland. We leave on Monday. But I mean, I've been here for 3 weeks, and
Okay,
and
yeah.
Jai came across, and then you went up to New York and
Yes.
and visited some people. And
You have a girlfriend over
I've been
there?
working.
You're like,
Why is
you're like
everybody
someone's gran.
so obsessed?
Are you winching, son? Are you winching?
I don't think Kurt knows what
I can
lynching
assume
means.
what
Yeah.
lynching means.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
But
good
no,
Scottish
it's
words.
a good Scottish word. I thought I'd get it in
Good
there.
Scottish
But
word.
no, just business stuff. I was trying to get big gigs and
None of
stuff
my
and all that
business,
stuff.
actually.
And
Oh.
no, but you asked the question. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then I saw some shows and met
Cool.
some friends.
Dig it. Yeah, it's probably quite a interesting community to be a part of, right? Like that kind of orchestral. Like there's only a few thousand people that are really kind of on the front edge of that scene in the cities around the world.
Yeah. I mean,
Or maybe you're
it's
not
more-
on the front
no,
edge.
I'm not
trying to network.
But I mean, you have performed with some amazing people.
Yeah,
who
yeah,
are on the
yeah,
forefront of
yeah,
that.
Yeah, and I think it's New York itself. Like I've only ever been. I actually only went to New York last year for the first time, and it's one of those things as a creative person. It's such a melting pot of just. I don't know, just creative energy and
and
just all that kind of stuff.
Vibrancy.
Chaos and power.
I mean,
that
yeah,
kind of
all of that too.
A bit of chaos, yeah.
Well, but that's kind of what power is. It's really
yeah.
chaos. It's the
Yeah.
word that puts it into order, kind of.
Yeah. But I mean, your story about Josh Groban's a really good one.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because he
From just now?
outsang Josh
You can't say that.
Groban.
What if Josh is listening to this? Josh is a good guy.
Good. Josh,
Well, Josh, practice
Jai,
more.
yeah,
Okay.
outsang
wow.
you.
Anyway.
And it's online. Like
Oh,
you can
poor
go and
Josh.
see it.
Okay. Well, you're never going to play the harp for Josh Groban, are you?
I love Josh Groban's work. I'm not saying that.
Anyway, no. So I was so, as I mentioned before, the musical anthem.
Yeah.
He performed the part that I eventually played.
Oh, okay.
And so when I was practicing for that, I listened to a lot of Josh Groban, and then became a Josh Groban fan.
Oh, wow.
And then, as I said, I sang
You've surpassed him now.
his song.
Well,
and,
it's a good story though. Wait.
I sang his song on Britain's Got Talent, and then Twitter was in its infancy then, and he tweeted that I just sang his song on national
fun.
TV, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "Oh my
And
god,
he
this
sang
is
it really
oh my
well.
God." And so then, anyway, fast forward from June till I think October time, I had actually already bought tickets to go and see him in Glasgow because he was on tour.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm going to be really cheeky, and I'm going to text my management, and I'm going to be like, can I meet this guy? Because I'm a massive fan, and he tweeted about me, and blah, blah, blah. And actually at this point, so I'd been working solidly for months at this point, because after the show, you get management. They're like,
Right.
can we have your diary? And you're like, yeah, can you make me money? Of course you can. And so I did. And I hadn't really been home and hung out with my mates, in a long, long time. So I was at a house party. I had a drink in my hand. I thought, I'm going to be really cheeky. I'm going to text my manager and ask him if I can meet Josh on Sunday.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, let me make some calls, see what I can figure out." And about 20 minutes later, he texted me back and said, "How do you?" Oh no, that's a lie. He called me and said, "How do you fancy singing with Josh on Sunday?" And I was like, "Fuck me."
No shit.
So I then put my drink down, and all my friends were like, "Ah, what? No, come on." And I was like, I can't tell them. I can't. And then I just ended up having to tell them so that they left me alone because they were still trying to give me drink.
Right.
And it was incredible. But one of the things that I remember, because on the show they take the song that you sing and they cut it down so that it's good for TV.
Sure.
Clips.
So then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to learn the whole thing. Shit, by Sunday. So anyway, turned up on Sunday, and I, at the time, coming off the show, my gig uniform as such was like ripped jeans, a t-shirt, and a leather jacket.
Okay.
And I turned up
rock and
in
roll.
this these jeans, t-shirt, and leather jacket. My mum's absolutely furious because she managed to get tickets to come.
Oh,
at
she
this
thought
point.
you should be up in it a little bit.
So
Suit.
yeah, so Josh is there in his lovely suit, and it's his tour, so he's dead relaxed. Whereas I'm like, oh my god, this guy is pretty much my idol at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely, I'm shitting myself. Like if you go onto YouTube and you see it, he's swanning around, and I'm standing there holding the microphone with two hands, just staring into this massive audience.
Terrified.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not really terrified, but
No, but
intimidated by the scene at least.
I was definitely nervous anyway. And I mean, Josh was lovely. We ended up meeting before the show to run through the song, and and it was lovely, and he was great, and he was so relaxed. Whereas I was just like, oh my god, no. And then
It got recorded and put up on YouTube.
Yes, it got recorded, put up on YouTube.
Okay.
And to be honest, there are points in the song, and even my mum and dad say this, they can't tell if it's him or me. Mm-hmm. And even I can't tell if it's him or me.
So were you going back and forth?
Yeah, so we were singing different bits.
Okay, cool.
And I'm like, is that me? Is my mouth moving?
That's really cool.
It's a really neat video.
There is a bit in the song which does make me feel a bit proud, because you can tell that he's obviously went, holy shit, that guy can actually sing this song.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I went for a big note, and then he comes in and goes, what the fuck?
Damn.
But no, he was great, and it was such a lovely experience at the time. And,
Yeah.
And
What a cool thing.
yeah, and
And have you ever connected with him further?
I
assume you have some.
Yeah, just social media, really.
Yeah,
I don't know, he's been on Broadway and things like that, but I've never been around at the time.
Sure.
To kind of go and catch a show.
Well, in Scotland's probably not in Britain, even in general, is it leading edge for culture these days, or?
I mean, we do pretty well.
I suppose
for
London always is, because they got the aristocracy that always goes and does that stuff, because they got money coming from some side channel from the crown from who knows how long ago.
But no, we get.
We don't need to talk about that here.
We have a good music scene in like Glasgow and Edinburgh and things like that. Like we've got fantastic venues and a lot of big artists. Like we had Taylor Swift last year, Harry Styles.
Okay. All right.
We like massive artists from around the world.
How big is Glasgow?
She's probably been.
I can tell you the population of Scotland.
Of course you can. I can't.
Which is
It's 5.6 million people.
okay. So just
Wow.
about the same as Colorado, really.
It is.
Which is also about the same as Finland. as
Oh,
it
there
turns
you
out.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, it was also about the same as Houston,
Right.
Texas. Yeah, I mean that's
Right.
that's how I equate it. But Scotland's such a small country. If you laid out Houston, metropolitan Houston, it would stretch from coast to coast.
No shit.
Yeah.
Like Houston could just about cover.
You just cover Scotland.
Oh, that's interesting. So Scotland is almost as dense in population as Houston.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah.
Because when I think about Scotland, I think about all these little ranchettes and stuff and whatever. And there is a lot of that, but
spread out,
Houston
for
also
sure.
just sprawls.
Houston, you
Like
are
there's a
in
lot
city.
of unbuilt stuff for a long ways in Houston too.
Yeah.
Huh, what a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
love
we
it.
won't play Scotland trivia with you though, Jai.
know.
as
I am
You
someone
can play it with me though.
I genuinely have said this many times. Meredith knows more about Scotland and Scottish history than I do, and I grew up there. Like, it's mental. And it's not because I don't listen in school. It's just because...
Well, the things you
Like,
took for granted,
yeah,
she was
exactly. You're
researching.
just used to it.
So that's
Yeah.
it. And I actually, Meredith's dad and I went to Jack's today. I bought myself
yeah,
a
that's
nice
Oh,
pair
it's
of
a nice
jeans.
place, isn't it?
And
That used to be literally like a military surplus store.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like they had like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff when it first opened, and a little
Wow,
bit of other
there you
stuff.
go.
Now it's all like Patagonia and
I
fanciest
love it.
fishing rods.
It's like
But-
But it's a great store.
Well, yeah, but I went and bought myself some nice new jeans.
Okay, is it those ones?
No, it's not.
Oh, those ones look really nice too.
Thank you. I will
Yeah.
take that. I don't know where they're from, but here we are. Anyway, nice pair of Wranglers. And
Okay, I like it.
however, I actually had that very conversation with your dad today about the fact that because I'm here in Colorado, my Instagram feed is all Colorado.
Sure.
But it keeps coming up and saying, it's my morning commute, and then I realise I live in Colorado, and it just opens up into the mountains. And I was like, do you know,
it's great.
it's one of the things that, although, I live in Scotland, the reason I still live there, as I say, I travel around all the time, and I constantly get asked why I don't live in London, or why I don't live in New York, or why I don't live in LA. And I'm like, because do you want to
'Cause
see
I love
where I live?
Scotland.
Do you
Yeah.
want to
It's
see the
beautiful.
beaches and the mountains and the hills and yeah, it's cold and it's wet, but we wouldn't have the landscape we have if it wasn't.
Totally.
So it is such a beautiful place to live. But also, I mean, as I said, so is Colorado. Like coming over the mountain,
It's so different.
Just it's beautiful.
It's
Oh,
so
we're just a
different.
desert though in comparison. You know, that gets fed by a few veins of water that come out of it.
Yeah.
Out of those mountains.
Yeah, but you have a lot more sunshine. And
So
that's-
True.
yeah.
Meredith, talk to me about Scotland, like from an American standpoint, because you've lived there most of the last 10 years.
This will be my
12?
16.
16 years.
Yeah,
Dang.
16 years this
Okay.
year. Yeah.
So I mean, do you have a green card? Do you have citizenship over there?
I have a passport.
Okay.
Yes, I have citizenship.
Oh,
so
wow.
I have
You're dual citizen.
I'm dual.
Is that allowed because of family heritage in Scotland, or because you went?
because I paid for it. Like I've
Right.
done my time.
Okay, but you're allowed. I didn't know America allowed you to do dual citizens
They
with too
they
many
do.
places.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can have dual citizenship
Okay,
with
okay.
Great Britain. But I have twin boys who are also dual citizens, so
Gotcha.
we kind of go back and forth. So I really wanted to have citizenship with them,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Makes
so
sense.
I went through 5 different visas. I mean, I've done my time. But now I have the passport, so I don't have to ever do it again, which is great. Scotland's a great country. It's beautiful. The people are great. The food is
Questionable.
questionable.
If you like
Is it
fried
just bad
haggis.
ingredients?
I know, I was
Bad
gonna
ingredients.
No.
Like they just don't
No,
really have
I'm-
any good
no.
vegetables. and
No,
stuff?
we do have good
vegetables. To be
vegetables.
fair,
Just bad recipes.
It's just
No,
variety.
We were kidding. We were
It's just
kidding.
like there's not much of a variety.
Do you have
And
the shepherd's
growing up-
pie or the beggars
Oh.
and mash?
I mean, shepherd's pie.
Well,
I
beggars
love
and mash
shepherd's
is more
pie.
British kind of style.
Yeah,
that's
well,
more
both
like
of them are.
England.
England.
Yeah,
So
it's
do-
definitely English.
I want to hear from you, actually,
Yeah.
more especially. Like, talk to me about the dynamic among, like you said, there's not an immigration problem in Scotland, and there is in England. Is it really just
Oh.
because it's too cold,
Oh, I don't know.
or it's not really, or there actually is challenges there too? Like, how much independence does Scotland have from?
Oh man, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. Yeah, the independence movement in Scotland. Well, I mean, it got a lot of traction.
It did.
About what?
It failed.
It failed
Sadly.
again. About 6 years ago.
Yeah.
About 6 years
So the
ago, there
Scots
was.
would like to, many Scots at
That's-
least would like to be independent, but
That is the conversation. I don't know. I mean, they didn't win, so
Right,
there
yeah,
wasn't the
matter.
popular vote. They just.
So I
it
think
do you
didn't
think the
win.
Brits are by and large happy about Brexit, or do they think shit we fucked up there?
You can answer that one.
Oh, well, I personally am not, and only because
You think it was a bad idea?
Well,
It's harder.
Again, yes,
Right,
it's harder
Mm-hmm.
from a visa point of view.
Totally.
Musicians,
Well, and even just from an economic competition, because you could kind of be the big swinging dick in the
Yeah.
European Union, and now you're just a little wussy England.
Yep.
Kind of. No offense to the
No, hey,
language. We
We're
mark
not.
these.
No.
We don't live in England.
But-
right. Yeah. Exactly. I can't get thrown in. I'm not going to go visit anyway. so.
But no, I think from my personal point and from friends' points of views and things like that, as musicians, it's just difficult. It makes things so much harder and costlier to travel
Sure.
and tour
Sure.
and all that stuff. So yeah, and there are other implications like import, export, all that
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
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 And so
How much you got to pay for your eggs,
Yeah.
whatever, or
Well, and that
whether
they've
it's
been
eggs
really
or
good.
your
They've been good
lamb.
about that, and that's something that I've noticed between the States and the UK. The UK has been great about keeping kind of some cost of living
Yeah.
items down, like food.
Okay.
So you can buy a loaf of bread for 85p,
Oh,
which
wow.
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, our utilities like gas and electric
Right.
is astronomical.
Yeah.
I pay like
Yeah.
$360
Oh, damn.
pounds
Yeah,
a
yeah.
month. Like, it's
and
stupid.
your dad was explaining to me about, do you call it gas, petrol, like
Gas,
gas, right.
gasoline.
So fair enough. Talking about gas,
Yeah.
whereas we're petrol and diesel, but he was like here, user by the gallon, and we're
Oh, yeah.
by the liter.
By the
Yeah,
liter.
same price.
So it's So I'm like, oh my god.
You figure out how much that
ridiculous.
Yeah, we
is.
get 4 times as
Yeah.
much almost
Yeah.
for the same
So
price.
You do.
so in some ways, it swings and roundabouts. It's just whatever.
We did have an increase, though. Was it last year? Maybe this year. 45% tax.
Oh, that was
Was that last,
Last year,
That
yeah.
was last
On
year.
gas?
No, in general. Like
in general,
it was
yeah.
in general 45% tax. So it's
Yeah.
been increased.
Oh, damn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, Colorado looks really good right
Right,
now.
or Wyoming.
Yeah.
One of the things I read a monthly blog, and after I guess it's been going on for 6-7 years now, and after Germany shut down all its reactors, and then all the climate stuff and this and that, and I wrote that Europe has cut its own hands off to save itself from sinning.
Wow.
In its attempt to be climate aware and stuff.
I
It's
would
like,
totally agree
oh,
with
let's
that.
just ruin our manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
Sorry, BMW, Mercedes, Siemens, all these other things. It's like you're gonna have to live with you're gonna have to try to compete with energy that costs 4 times as much now.
Yeah. Well, and Aberdeen is our oil city in Scotland.
Oh, you do have one, so that's good.
Yeah, well, but
I mean,
we
except
also
for
have
the-
a huge green initiative
Right.
that's championed by
Right.
the Scottish government.
Well, and
so
then there's policies that say, well, trees are sustainable. If you grow trees and burn them, that's sustainable energy. And you're like, well,
yeah, it's a
yeah.
whole
but
thing.
like God turned the dinosaurs and some trees into oil for us. Like we could just go straight to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
But
digress.
it's really interesting, and I'll kind of circle back.
Please do.
Is that so? In Ayrshire, where we live,
Okay. Which is what, like an
there's-
outer suburb from the big city, or
Well, it's
more
about
of
it's
a
45 minutes south of
Okay.
Glasgow on the
Yep.
coast. So
Yep,
we live really
okay.
close to the beach,
Kind of
and
the sweet
and
spot.
bay. It is. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
yeah, yeah.
You know, we have
the
love
choice city of Scotland, if you will.
air.
Like we're the choice city
I
of,
mean,
of
I don't know. I think-
Colorado.
But Edinburgh would be, but
Either way.
No, Glasgow.
no,
away.
Edinburgh is beautiful. Glasgow, the people are amazing.
It is beautiful.
But my
to me.
point is about climate change.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Is that it's okay? I know you. So where we stay in Ayrshire, it's not really a tourist destination. I mean, it
Okay.
can be, and a lot of places are, and I think that it should have more tourism to it. But what I found amazing from living there is not only all of the sites, but there is initiative happening within Dumfries House, and Dumfries House is owned by the King's Foundation.
Sure.
And that's one of King Charles's residents in Scotland.
Yeah.
But he is a huge advocate for climate, eco-friendly
Sure.
materials and building
Well, I kind
things
of
that
am
are
too. Like I like really good insulation, right? I
well,
like
especially when you live in Colorado.
walking when you can
Yeah.
do that instead. Like I'm definitely a limited
Yeah.
use, but it's also utility.
Well, and it's reducing the carbon footprint, and
Right.
and I think Scotland's really good at that because we do grow, especially in Ayrshire, we do grow a lot of vegetables. There's a lot of
Right.
farms. There are a lot of
You're
I'm
not
gonna say
importing your
ranches.
vegetables from China.
No, I mean we
Right.
do, but it's not as prolific as you would find in other areas.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one of the champions of being in Ayrshire. I really find is Ayrshire potatoes. Like
Yeah.
where they come from. They come from the farm down
Right. Well,
down
that's
the
one of the
road.
things I love about northern Colorado is, just in general, like localizing economies. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've got this whole movement towards globalization, and that's nice that I can get stuff off of Temu if I want to.
The quality might not be there,
What
but
was that? There was a 40,000 square foot warehouse that burned, a Temu warehouse, and
wow, I didn't hear that.
$800 worth of inventory was destroyed.
Oh, boy.
Well, I mean, keeping costs down.
So anyway, where was I going with the prior statement? I left it off at
You were talking about farms.
I was talking about
localizing
localization.
the
Localization
economy.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like within about 100 miles of here, we've got all these vegetables. We've got oil. We've got energy industry. We've got universities. We've got culture. We've got music. We've got a bunch of different. Like we've got beef and pork, and
Yeah.
a ton of prop. And so we have really everything we need within 100 miles of here, by and large.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
there's
that's
a lot
a
to be said for
great
that.
way to be thoughtful about how far away do you have to get your stuff from, because when you get it from local, then those people get money for
Yeah.
it, and they
Yep.
can spend it at your business.
Exactly.
You know, and the same thing in Scotland, and that's part of the strength of Scotland, I assume, just in general, is because it's expensive to bring something over to that island, so might as well try to figure out how to grow it or make it here.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. The sustainability is a big initiative that is happening.
But isn't that the right thing to do, even without rules that say you have to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
If we
I
need
think.
to.
I mean, I've.
Feels like you could do more with awareness than you could with rules in that
Yeah.
space.
So when I was a kid, and you probably wouldn't have had it in this country, but there was a show called Captain Planet.
Oh
And it-
yeah, we had
Oh,
Captain.
no way, did you?
Planet. Of
Oh,
I
course
saw
it
Captain
is.
Planet.
So happy
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this.
Captain
Right.
Planet
Well,
was American.
was he?
Yeah,
Yes.
I
pretty
don't
sure.
remember this. I was tiny. Anyway, so so basically, I loved that show.
Right.
And from a very young age, I was, a litter picker. I was, I'd do all that stuff. And then when recycling, I was recycling before recycling was a thing.
Sure.
Do you know? And it was because my mum
Captain
and dad
Planet's-
my mum and dad would always be like, "Oh, you better pick that up. Captain Planet's going to get you."
Right.
And and my mum and dad just, like, my mum always tells stories about how my trousers would always be full of rubbish. She'd have to empty, you know, like all that
You'd
sort
be
of
picking
stuff.
up everywhere.
And so
yeah,
that
I love it.
that's sort of it's sort of been a thing since I was a kid, and now like I've got kids in the family and they grow up and at school they have like, you know, eco warriors and all these sort of things, and it's nice just to see that initiative continuing, because it's hard, especially like because I not so much my parents, they're pretty good at it. My mum is like, which bin? Because we've got like 15 bins for
We
stuff.
do.
Like it's mental.
Yeah, that's
But,
happened.
Which recycling?
Oh yeah, so it's
We
like
have
white
paper
or
and
cardboard or
yeah.
glass and it's all
We just
good.
put all of ours in
but-
the mixed recycling, and then
Yeah.
we send it to Indonesia where they burn it for
Say,
energy.
good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've
it's,
really
I'm sorry.
gone deep to recycling.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
a way, it's nice because hopefully it's being recycled properly, and you know it's been done the right way,
Yeah.
the right way, whatever that is. And it's all that awareness. Like there's also, you know, what do you call them when it's an allotment?
Oh yeah.
So allotments,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
allotments in the local town, but even in, you know, I grew up in a small village, and there was things like that out people's back doors. Just, you know, they'd always have.
I don't know what an allotment is.
Sorry, it's a veg patch or
It's
like place where
a-
you would grow your own food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Like
an
a
al-
community
What do you-
garden.
community
you would call
garden.
it. Yeah,
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Community garden.
And
yeah. I love it. Yeah.
and so that has also kind of played a part in sort of people being a bit more sustainable.
Yeah, sure.
And having that, and it's a shame because I don't in Ayr, where we're from, there have been a few shops pop up where it's, you know, like bring your own glass jars and we'll fill it with rice
Right,
and
right.
whatnot, and they don't, sadly they don't last long.
Yeah.
Because people just, I don't know, it's either an
The business-
inconvenience
Well, we've been
or
business
programmed
model.
to
Yeah.
just buy a box of laundry
Yeah.
detergent, you
Yeah.
know, and it's hard to break those habits, but
and it is.
useful.
But actually, your mum's pretty good at like that. Like I've loved your mum. Like cooks a lot of her own, makes her own bread. She, you know, makes a lot of her own jams, stuff like that. And I
That's
just
true.
think all these little things.
But
you
I
know,
grew up
it's-
on a ranch
Right.
outside
Well, yes,
of
fair enough,
Houston.
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
didn't we
The best
lived
thing
out.
is chickens, by the way.
We had chickens. I had chickens growing up.
So
Loved
I don't have a
chickens.
big enough garden for chickens, but I am an advocate for chickens. I love eggs. I'm
Oh,
a
they're the
vegetarian,
best.
but I love eggs.
Well, they'll turn your
And I'm just like, oh,
like they'll turn your like leftover salad that you wish you would have got back to, but it got a little yucky.
Yeah.
They'll turn that into eggs.
into eggs. Fair enough.
Right, you
Isn't
don't
that
have to put it in your
amazing?
trash and put it in
Yep.
the landfill. You don't have to put it down your garbage disposal. You can turn that garbage food into eggs,
Yeah.
like everything.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, that's in my opinion, that's one of my favorite like sustainability things is just having something that because I hated composting. I did it for a while
It
before we got
sucks.
chickens, but it sucks. It's stinky and it's a pain in the ass, and the avocado peelings never go away. You can just swing
Right
that
there.
thing out.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah,
nice.
that's
You
easy.
have okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. What?
So you'll find no argument from me in the fact that living with an intentionally modest footprint is a positive for
Yeah.
sure. And like there isn't a lot of like the globalization. The control unit that they're looking to fix the climate by is a global control kind of a World Economic Forum kind of mechanism, but the actual function, the like action is all local, and the localization of the economy is actually would do more probably to fight climate change than
Oh, for
would
sure.
having
For
you know
sure.
carbon credits trading and cameras to make sure you don't leave your 15-minute
Yep.
zone and stuff like
Well,
that.
and you think about it, and a long time ago, and actually not that long ago, that's how we operated as a society.
Yeah.
Sure.
We were all localized.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just going back to a natural order of things. And
Yeah.
one of the other hats that I wear, the other jobs that I do, is I work at Sunrise Ranch
Yeah.
in Loveland. And they are one of the oldest intentional communities in the
Yeah,
United
yeah.
States. They were
Love it.
founded in 1945. They've been there. They've raised their own, vegetables. They had chickens.
yeah,
they
yeah.
have their own beef still. It's grass-fed
No, I've been a
organic
fan
beef.
for years.
Well, then
yeah.
that kind of mentality and living is so natural to who we are as
Totally.
a society. So it's like, well, we're just going back to how it should be.
Yeah. 100%.
Which is great.
I want to talk more about Sunrise Ranch
Yeah.
and the other things that you've dabbled in. We haven't even talked about harp much.
Oh, well,
which
I'll
is
talk about
crazy.
harp. I'll talk
So,
about
but I want to
Sunrise.
take a break
Sure.
first because my drink has been empty for a while.
Oh, no.
I could probably use a
Kurt.
potty break too. So,
Go for it.
Hi, this is Clint Jasperson, Managing Partner at Purpose Driven Wealth. We believe financial clarity leads to a life of contentment and purpose. Our mission is to guide clients through the complexities of wealth management, retirement planning, and legacy using a values-driven, stewardship-based approach focused on provision, contentment, and enjoyment. With more than a century of expertise through Thrivent, we offer tailored strategies to help individuals and families achieve their goals and embrace generosity. Whether you're navigating a life or business transition or planning for the future, we're here to partner with you every step of the way. To learn more about Purpose Driven Wealth, call 970-330-7411.
and we're back. Meredith, you were just starting to talk before we took a break about your involvement with Sunrise Ranch, but also you do some business consultancy stuff too. So you're not just King Charles Harpist. You got other skills. Sorry,
Really not King Charles' harpist. I'm getting in so much trouble. And well, that is a good story that you can ask me about later about not being King Charles's harpist. But with Sunrise Ranch, I started working for them in 2023.
Oh wow, okay.
And it was one of these. I was at kind of a turning point in my life, and I
Okay.
wanted to move back home. Obviously, that
Oh.
that didn't happen, but I was looking for a job, and having grown up on a ranch, I was just like, oh, a ranch. Oh, that sounds really fun and very different from what I had been doing in my career as a harpist. But I had run businesses before. My husband and I had a business, and I had multiple other things that I did in events. I ran a
I saw
nonprofit.
there was some festival action.
I
and
did a
different things like
festival, which was awesome. I really loved.
It was.
It is. It's still
Actually,
going.
I mean, I'm actually going to tell that story. So, when Meredith and I met, and I went round to practice for something, or just probably have tea. I don't really know.
I think you were there for tea.
Yeah, it's fine. And
cake.
and I saw a coaster on the table for
A festival.
the festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
was called Tamfest. And I love Halloween. And I thought, this is incredible. I can't believe someone has thought about amalgamating Tamfest or Halloween with Tam O'Shanter, which is a Robert Burns.
It's an old poem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well
And,
done.
Yeah. I've read it before, even.
It's
Ah,
hard.
yeah.
It's a hard read.
Yeah.
And,
Impressive.
and I thought it was great. I'm saying, and it's been amazing. And I went down last
I read
year
the
and
English version.
Yeah, you have to. I did too.
terrible behaviour.
Anyway,
You're the only
sorry.
one that could translate it.
You give me it now. No,
Right, we'll just
So-
finish the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
to be fair,
It
we
would be,
we would be here all
25
night.
minutes of Tam O'Shanter.
But so I was gushing about this festival and how much I loved it and how much it just was great. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I done it." And I was like, "Oh, fuck off, no you didn't." And she's
No
like,
way.
"Yeah, I did." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And
It was my
genuinely,
festival.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
that
no shit.
was so incredible.
Like
Yeah.
you guys had grown to be friends or whatever through
Yeah.
other channels and whatever,
Yeah.
and then years later you're
It
like,
just-
you know what was the best was this one festival we had
Yep.
with the Tam O'Shanter
Yep.
at
I was like,
Halloween.
huh, by the way, that was mine.
Yeah. By the way, that was all me.
That was me. I mean, it certainly wasn't all me, but yeah, the Tam O'Shanter Festival
It
was
was your
great.
idea though.
So
It
by the way,
was.
I've been acquainted with Sunrise Ranch for a while. I've
Yeah.
known some of the people out there, and even because I was a banker for 15 years, and so even just through a few conversations and stuff, and I was doing math in my head, just trying to figure out what a proper sustainable business model looks like for an agricultural operation of that scale. You know, like just growing enough food for your people to eat is a pretty big
Undertaking.
win already.
Yeah.
You know, but then if you're also trying to make some revenue on the place, and you know,
It's a
can you
big
build a
operation.
brand of, you know, locally sourced beef or chickens or some shit, or you know, because
Yeah.
it takes a little something
Well,
to
it does,
be different.
and I mean, COVID hit them really, really
Yeah,
hard,
yeah,
as
yeah.
it hit everybody.
My food trailer served at the Arise Music Festival, actually at Sunrise Ranch
Well, there you
years ago.
go. So
was one of my
you know,
career
do you know
journeys.
Paul then? Paul Basson?
Probably not.
Okay, well, he is Mr. Arise.
Okay.
He put on the
probably,
Arise Festival.
Yeah, I probably
so you'd know
did
Paul.
communicate with him at the time, yeah.
Yeah. So Paul is the new events director
Oh, interesting.
at Sunrise
Oh,
Ranch.
that's wild.
So I work very closely with Paul.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Lamar County was kind of like, bye-bye, Arise.
Well,
or something from
Arise,
that, or...
it's Arise is not coming back, but,
But
what
stuff
is
will
coming
happen.
back are major events. So yes, Sunrise was known for its agricultural aspects of it, mostly to serve the community, but it has since moved to events. It's a retreat center as well as an intentional community.
Nice,
So it
nice.
has all of these different facets of a business. What's really exciting, and it's a really exciting time to be at Sunrise right now, is because they have a new development that we've been talking about and that I've been brought in to consult on, and that's expanding the ranch and expanding how we do things
Like by acreage or by room rentals or
by development
services?
Yeah, by services, by development, but changing the business model.
Yeah.
And it's like Sunrise 2.0. So we're calling it a dreamscape, but effectively it's growing that idea of what society really should be and has been, because intentional communities are clans or tribes, or it's how society has been for thousands of years, and we've gotten away from that by living in these urban areas and it's cities and things.
Yeah. I actually had a very kind of, I wouldn't say a vision, but an imagination at least of a commune type of thing that I might be involved with at some point in my future. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I lived in Old Town, but
There you go.
like to be able to put the people together, which represent the pieces of a, I'm a big fan of some of the old Ayn Rand and, Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged kind of things. Can you put a sustainable community together out of what? What's it take?
Atlas Shrugged is a really impressive book. It's a really big book.
It is, yeah.
So that's impressive that you know it.
I read that when I was like 14.
Wow.
Like I was like into that kind of stuff at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And it's taking those ideas and those models and putting them to work.
Yeah.
And that's something that Sunrise has been doing for decades.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, now we are at the precipice of a new way of living as a society. That's something that we've been kind of moving towards for quite some time. And it's time to kind of regenerate that and look at it in a new way.
Well, it feels like with the rise of not staycations necessarily, but like intentional learning environments and just VRBOs. And I know there's a lot of competition right now, but it seems like inviting more kinds of people to come and take a sip, like, because I don't know if Sunrise Ranch was ever, it was like it always had kind of a religious connotation, like there was kind of a services thing, and the community was kind of built around that, at least to some level, if you wanted to live there kind of thing and stuff. At least that's what I
it was it was totally founded as a religious community in 1945 by its founder, and has undergone several iterations of something like that. But ultimately, it's an intentional community. So it's people that come together to have that way of life as a unit to work together.
Does it remain that?
I think that it's moving back towards it. That it
Okay.
has kind of undergone different iterations of leadership and has changed over in management and has been in flux for quite some time.
Right.
But what's really exciting now is that they have a really solid trajectory.
Okay.
And that's what I think gets me
signed up
most.
for it to help figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's going back to kind of the way that it should be.
And can you paint that picture some? Like, I'm sure it's like lots of little steps to make.
I know.
big-
I feel
big
like I have the
progress,
most
or
controversial.
Is that allowed?
I feel like I have the most controversial stories because I'm, not playing for King Charles, but have playing for King Charles, and now talking about things that I shouldn't be talking about.
And if you shouldn't want to talk about it, then don't.
No, it's really exciting stuff. So you're talking about Old Town Fort Collins, and Old Town Fort Collins was actually, I guess, how do I say this? Sketched out, drawn, designed by a man called Ed Goodman, who is from Fort Collins, born and raised. He went off and lived in California for many, many years,
Yep.
worked for Disney.
Yep.
Really interesting, amazing imagination, great guy. And he was actually brought in for this project specifically, and using all of his knowledge, expertise, and brain power to reimagine what Sunrise
Oh, is that right?
could be.
Interesting.
So it really is his vision, coupled with what the community would like to bring.
So you're talking about a real development here,
A
like
full-blown development.
like you're raising capital and
Yep,
like you're
that's
Yellowstoning.
where we are.
You're Yellowstoning this bitch.
Yeah, we are. So Sunrise, it's big. It's a
Right, well, it
really
would have to
big
be, like-
project. Yeah, and it's really exciting. And just to have Ed's brain power backed with the community and the enthusiasm of Sunrise Ranch communities.
I think your property neighbors with the other ranch there that's more
Eden-
famous,
Sylvandale.
Sylvandale.
Yeah, so that they're
Because
up on
the
the
lady
ridge.
that owns that was telling me how her parents and the Sunrise Ranch people were such close friends during
Yes.
those early years when they were both building their ranches up and stuff
right.
like that.
Yeah.
And
that's
just
right.
their resonance is one of the things that she shared. Like, even though the Sunrise folks weren't Christians per se.
Oh no, they were.
Oh, were they
Oh, yeah,
Christians?
totally.
Okay, I didn't realize. I thought it was
Yeah.
kind of at least a offshooty kind of thing, but it is. Well,
No.
at least they don't boo-poo Jesus. Anyway, she
no,
felt
they
like they
don't.
were a little different, but they had so many more similarities, and that they were very much
Total
kind of in the
similarities.
same vein. And I would have to think that Sylvandale's struggling too.
I don't know.
I'm sure it
I don't
is.
know. I know
Like,
that
as long as you're blowing this shit up, why don't you buy that and save her and blow that up all the way down?
I'll talk to their investors and see what
Yeah.
happens.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I mean, Sunrise
And
Ranch
I'm
is,
not saying Sylvandale is struggling, but it doesn't seem like it's prospering either.
yeah.
Neither
I
through
don't
their
know.
base operations nor through dude ranchy things and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's been hard for them since COVID too.
It's a hard time.
Yeah.
I mean, Sunrise Ranch is already enormous. It's 450 acres, so it's
That's
big.
tiny.
It's
My
a
dad
big
farms
process.
10,000
Oh, was it?
acres.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
You know,
You have more space. But for Sunrise's development, what we're looking to do, like I said, is that there is already the main campus it was basically built up in the 1970s, 1980s. That was the main
it's got some
development
highly
time.
functional rooms, some great sunlight.
Really beautiful. And they also have the dome. So it's a Buckminster Fuller designed dome for residents and
Interesting.
for
Okay.
great acoustics. And so right now we're in the process of getting everything landmarked. So they have some beautiful history that needs to be preserved.
Yeah.
And I'm really keen on seeing that project through so that when we move forward with the Dreamscape development, that
Right.
you know, we have that history, we're in the present looking at the future and moving forward with
Interesting.
it. So
So, is there like a timeline? Like, when would we expect to hear things about this in our community? Or
it's imminent.
Imminent,
So
okay.
yeah, we're looking to go full-fledged forward this year.
and what's so the dome
Yes.
becomes more of like a venue?
Oh,
kind
it's
of an
always been a
experience?
venue.
I know
yeah,
it has.
yeah, 405 seats. Like it's,
Oh, is it that big?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's a
dang,
good
okay.
venue.
All right.
The historical landmark stamp on it will help a lot.
Okay.
There are renovations that need to be done to bring it back up to code and to make it safe and open again to the public. But we're
Yeah.
in process of that. So yeah.
Well, that
it's
could be a
exciting.
high functioning space just in itself.
Totally.
I mean, honestly, like there's bands out there that could fill a 400 seat place,
Yeah.
but they, the Aggie doesn't trust them.
Yeah, or they don't
Or
have
whatever.
a place to play. Like
Right,
this
exactly.
is it. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely.
that's really interesting. Yeah, and probably it's like, will you make food for them and stuff too? Like, is it full service operation?
Sunrise
kind of
Ranch
thing?
is known for their food. I
I
mean,
know.
we were there
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the weekend, and it was.
Well, I mean, their
it's just
former
awesome.
chefs go on to be famous restaurant chefs here locally, or vice versa. They
Yeah.
hire people, and they always have great. Yeah,
Yeah,
solid.
they're brilliant. So that's
Okay.
that's a big part of our
Okay.
community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other major things that you can like get in trouble over telling us now, or
I haven't signed any NDAs yet, so I mean,
Well,
I
you're
think we're
fine
we're okay. But no, I mean, that whole project we've been planning it for about a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
At
Okay.
the moment, and so we're just, like I said, at the precipice of moving full steam
That's
ahead,
exciting.
and it's really.
I mean,
exciting.
it is a so one of the reasons I like Sunrise Ranch so much is because I'm a motorcyclist, and so
You drive by there all the time.
Way too fast. Yeah. No, it's one of the best roads to go
It
fast
is.
on over
It's a
there.
beauty.
Yeah. So anyway, that whole Eden Valley stretch is just awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a festival creator, and let's talk about harp.
Yeah. Let's talk about harp.
I mean, that's ultimately how you were introduced to me as the harpist for King Charles.
I know, master harpist.
So let's talk about your harp career just a little bit. And is that like how you earn the most of your income now?
Most of it now is business consulting.
Oh, it is.
But I mean, I've had such a big career as a harpist.
Yeah.
That's at
It's
one
still what
point
you're most famous for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's how I'm introduced to the American harpist. Jay
Yeah,
often
true.
introduces me as.
Is that right?
Yes, American
there
harpist.
just aren't that many.
Dun.
Or the American harpist in Scotland.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
yeah,
I'm it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. You are.
The list
Yes.
is you.
Yeah. That is. It is. Me.
So, like, talk to me about like the development of that path. Like, were you like a piano girl that then was like, oh, I want a harp instead, Mom? And she was like, oh, come on, we already have your grandma's piano.
Yeah, it was very much along those lines. I spent a lot of time when I was really little at my great grandma's, and she had this beautiful painting in her. I think it was in her guest bedroom or something, and it was of a beautiful woman in a beautiful dress in a castle playing harp. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want that. And actually, I think I wanted the dress more than anything.
You're like 7 or something.
I was totally little. It was very, very little, princess era. And I was like, I want the dress and I want to live in the castle.
Sorry. Princess era.
I know what you're going to say.
In America, like the 3 to 4 is the beginning, and then up to 7 to 8, kind of when every girl wants a princess party for her birthday every year, and as many princess things as they can get in between.
Meredith is 39, will be 40 soon.
He outed me.
And
So you are older.
And she is still a princess.
He reminds me.
Well,
I am still a princess.
okay.
Still a princess.
I have a
In
lot
fact,
of
I
dress.
think your 40th birthday should be princess themed. Yes,
Okay.
I am going to organise this.
Would make
Oh
this
yeah,
happen.
your
Thank
40th
you.
for sure.
Yeah.
When is your birthday?
Oh no, you're
It's in
going
October.
away.
But I'm still going to have a massive party. I've actually rented out a huge estate house
Oh wow,
already.
See
I
what I'm
know. I'm insane.
in Scotland.
In Scotland.
Okay,
Yep.
I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah, it sleeps 16 people.
A bunch of us turned 50 this past year, including myself, and we
like
had
that. I like how
10
it's
days in
grouped.
St. Lucia. Was
pardon
a
me?
couple of us went down there with our family.
Amazing.
St.
Yeah,
Lucia's
you have to go
beautiful.
big.
Oh, it was
Go big.
really cool.
That is
A
a lot warmer than Scotland.
Yes, definitely.
In October, yes.
Do you know that that St. Lucia has been controlled by the British and the French 7 times each?
Really?
Yes.
Like like back and forth?
Yeah, they
or?
fought over it back and forth, and so the local language is a pidgin language, a mix of British and French.
Wow.
But you can't understand it because it's almost as bad as Scottish to understand on the pidgin side.
Excuse me.
Excuse.
Do I need to translate?
Well,
So-
that's pretty much why I keep
So
you
you
around.
had this your grandma's picture inspired you,
Yeah.
and then like
oh yeah. So I
through
wanted that. I wanted the
middle
dress.
school, high
and
school, you're like the harp girl.
I was totally the
and-
harp girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I started playing when I was 10.
Okay.
And went to university for it in New Orleans, and played professionally since really. I mean, I played my first wedding when I was 15,
Yeah.
and then that was it. Like
For
I
sure.
didn't do the babysitting thing. You know how teenagers have odd
Yeah,
jobs, or when you're
You just
younger,
made $500
play this.
once a month. At
I
a show.
played weddings.
Right.
That was and that was always my job.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I was
interesting.
never a very good babysitter. I was like not a thing.
I'm
I know.
sure that was actually my nephew, my wife's oldest nephew, has been lead chair on the flute for Colorado Christian University,
Okay.
and has been like state ranked, kind of like the lead flute. And he was a piano guy, and then he changed to flute, and now we go down there for his Christmas
Awesome.
concerts and stuff. And he goes down to Arizona with the lead of the music college to go shake donors down for money, and
Yeah.
so he's a little bit on the edge of the
Yeah.
experience you had.
Yeah. For
Although
sure.
probably a lot easier to get weddings with a harp than it is with a flute.
I play a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
120 a year. Yeah.
Still?
Yeah. Well, last year it was. I think it was a
dang.
little less than that. I think it was about 90.
But that's a lot.
It is a lot,
Like
but
that's almost a third of the days. But I guess it's only a few hours. And you go
it's
over
only a
there.
few hours, and it's usually on the weekends.
Right.
So it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are my busy times, and so
Interesting.
the rest of the week I'll do work for Sunrise and
Yeah.
and
Other
bits and-
business consulting-y things.
Yeah, event consulting is another
Okay. Interesting.
thing that I do. So.
And what's your why do you have a special talent in the space? Like, are you a quick processor, just
don't know.
marketing, understanding? Like, it seems like you've been like trapped learning how to play the harp good and being King Charles's moving furniture piece and stuff like that.
That
Like,
was one of the
it would
highlights.
seem like your focus would be hard to build kind of that diverse skill set that oftentimes business consulting needs.
I like the challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
I really
Okay.
I like having the challenge, and I also I like being busy, and I get bored very easily.
Fair enough.
As Jai knows, because he's been voluntold to too many things.
Well, you just
in
keep
our
doing
time.
what she tells you to do, and you'll be just fine. Yeah.
It's fine. That's how I got to Colorado, so
I know.
I'll keep doing it.
I mean, I got him. I got this Scotsman in a kilt up a mountain and for a video.
I like
You
it.
did.
That
Good,
yeah,
good.
and it was
Yeah.
fun. We did have a good time.
I'm going to do a quick time check. Oh, and I was actually, I found a picture I was going to show you guys because I was the MC of a movie premiere this weekend.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
wow.
Run Wild, a documentary about the Wild West Relay,
Cool.
which is a running race from Fort Collins to Steamboat Springs.
Oh my gosh, that's a
relay?
long way.
And I wore my running gear on the bottom and my checkered
Oh.
flag jacket
Wow.
on
That's
top.
hilarious. Look at that.
Ava, I'll get you that picture so you can weave that into the show
That
here.
is
But
a costume.
it was, we had like 220 people in the theater, and the movie was really good. And like
Nice.
we're all just kind of, we don't really know what we're doing, but it's
Yeah.
cool and it's fun.
I mean, none of us really know what we're doing.
No,
Right, and
no,
that's,
but we always have fun. That's
Yes,
that's our
that's
rule.
the rules. Yeah.
True.
I guess if you're talking to a business putting on an event, since you're an event consultant, especially kind of, but what are some of the don't be dumb and
Don't be
do this
dumb.
for sure.
I always go for the creative authenticity hooks.
So
Like
be
when you're-
real and authentic.
Absolutely. Anytime you're making an event, because that's what people will respond to. That and details. I'm big on details.
That and like his talking about that poem plus Halloween was like this amazing thing, and
Yeah.
somehow you were early in Scotland even probably at the time relatively,
I guess so. So the
and
first one.
got fascinated by this poem. Like, what was the why of that?
Yeah, so 2015 was the first Tam O'Shanter Festival, so
Okay.
the first Tamfest. It was one of those things that, for me, loving history and being in the space that I was, it was natural. I was like, I love Halloween. Like this, and this story is the best Halloween story that I've ever read, and we're not doing anything
Right.
with it, and it takes place in air where we live. And so it was tying up all of those, again, authenticity.
Was
looking at that.
Halloween a thing in Scotland?
I mean, it is a thing.
Not
It's
really.
bigger
It's-
now.
y-
Certainly bigger now than
Yeah,
it
I mean-
was.
Because
Yeah.
the world has gotten globalized more. Kind
Totally.
Of in some ways.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Everybody sees TikTok of your cool
Yeah,
Halloween
I
costume.
love Halloween.
We would always go. We called it guising, but we'd always go guising.
Guising.
Yeah, yeah.
Disguise.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Halloween. Even since I was a kid, so it's we would always do that, like
Yeah,
trick
yeah.
or treating
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the kind of, as you say, globalization or commercialization of Halloween has gotten bigger because of things like Amazon and
Sure.
whatnot. You
Yeah,
can
you
get
get whatever you
everything
want.
and
Yeah.
big massive
Yeah,
ghosts.
yeah. Yeah, inflatable
Yeah.
thingies. that-
So it's just it's I think a lot of people at home would say it's been Americanized as such, because obviously
Yeah.
you guys go big here
We do go
on
for
a lot of
Halloween.
holidays, and I think just because it's easier for us to get things
Yeah,
in Scotland, they now do that. So.
Well, and what I love is that really that kind of festival is Scottish. Having the Halloween is All Hallows Eve. That is
Sure.
British. That's from the British
Okay.
Isles.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, I was going, you guys should do more.
Like, this makes
this
sense.
is this
Yeah,
totally
this
makes
totally
sense.
fits.
Let's
Yeah.
let's
And
make this better.
It's hilarious. I mean, I always say it's amazing that it took an American to come here and do all this stuff. Like, we're just so annoyingly laid back. But it's also like, when I went to New York for the first time last year for a festival called Tartan Week, and on the it takes place in April because it's all about the declaration of Arbroath, which is kind of like Scottish independence almost.
Kind of. Mm-hmm. It's like our constitution.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
That's very cool.
but it was really funny because my friend that took me over there, he plays the bagpipes, and his name's Craig Weir, and he actually said, I live not too far away from Arbroath, and we're in New York. We're currently doing a parade down 6th Avenue. Do you know what's happening in Arbroath? Nothing. And it's just mental because it's like, why? It baffles me.
It's part of this Scottish mentality of like, don't shine too bright.
Yeah.
Like don't go too big. Keep humble, stay meek. And of course, I'm like, no, like this is amazing.
You guys shout this from the rooftops.
Yeah, we have Tam O'Shanter, and everyone's like, man. They're kind of used to it, and I'm thinking this is such a great story. Like, let's have a parade through the high street.
And then obviously somebody like me goes, "That is absolutely fucking amazing."
Right.
So
right, because you thought it was flamboyant and wonderful and beautiful, right? Like it's like this big thing.
And it's all those things that I wish sometimes Scottish people could be, or Scottish culture could have. I mean, we have a lot, but
I have a lot.
Sometimes it's not that we don't have anything. We do.
Yeah.
But sometimes
probably
it
a lot
takes
like
something
Finland
special.
and like North Dakota, where you kind of grew up with the mentality that
You can't be outside.
you just kind of suck compared to other people
Oh.
in the world. No, that is part of it, because
But yeah,
why
I hear you.
why would our people live here if they didn't suck? Because this place is kind of cold and miserable. It's probably less so in Scotland, but so I'm going to tell a joke from my late high school years, I think, but because Minnesota is, it's got Minneapolis and it's a lot more kind of progressive in general and stuff, and then North Dakota is right next door, and North Dakota's 1/7 the population, right? And there's barely anybody that wanted me there, Anyway, but they would say that get a bucket of crawfish from Minnesota and one from North Dakota, and you don't have to put a cover on the one from North Dakota, because as soon as one gets close to climbing out, the other ones will just grab it and pull it back down.
Yeah.
Because of that kind of mentality that you don't deserve to be out of this bucket.
Wow.
That's a little bit like what you're describing, and a little bit what I've heard from Finland too, from our exchange student from Finland. And then I had to be at college for like a year before I realized, oh shit, I'm just as smart as these fuckers from Minnesota, or whatever. And I was kind of that expressive, there's a reason I got a podcast and I came from North Dakota, because I wanted to tell stories and be interesting, see interesting things, meet interesting people.
And it's difficult because, as you say, like, one saying that I remember, so obviously I went onto the TV show, and when I won it, a lot of people would be like, don't you get too big for your boots now?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa, give me a shot. Just give me a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just, and it's...
Can I try to get 3 gigs that pay?
Yeah.
Right. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah.
And it's...
No, same mentality. Yeah.
And it's hard because, I love my country. I absolutely adore it. And as I said earlier, I haven't moved away because of that, because my heart will always belong to Scotland. But at times it's just really difficult because you meet people at Meredith who do so much, and she shines so bright, and she's so good at everything she does. And it's just amazing. And then you're like, oh man, give me a piece of
you're
that.
just as
Give me a
bright.
piece of that.
Stop.
No,
That's why you hang out with me. That's why you're like...
In America, we have this
It's not
thing,
because we both have ADHD. It's nothing to do with that.
In America, we have this thing that's called absence makes the heart grow fonder. Do you have
Also,
that?
basically, when you
Yes.
come here, I don't speak to you for a couple of years, and then I'll come and visit you.
Yeah, that's, well,
Cool.
that's
Well, what
a
I
bit
was
long.
thinking is maybe you should leave Scotland behind for a year and do like a world
Right,
tour.
fair dues. So, yeah, I like that. plan.
And then
It's
you'll
a
come
good
back
plan,
to
Carl.
Scotland just appreciating it that much more.
Yeah, I would
World
agree.
tour. If anybody's listening and wants to put me on one of those, that'd be great. I've got a harpist,
I bet it's getting...
King Charles harpist.
We're going to have to start working our way
no.
towards something. No, we're not done yet,
Oh,
but
good,
we're going to have
good,
to
'cause
start
I'm
working our
actually
way
having
there,
so much
because
fun.
I'm glad you're having fun, actually.
Yeah, we
it's a
always
pretty
have fun.
experience.
We always have a good time.
I want to go in the time capsule to you at 7 years old, and you also at 7 years old, and just kind of get an idea of, as you were turning into a little person yourself, like what was your, like, did you have siblings? What were your parents up to? Were you a smartass? Were you a singer already? All those
Yes.
things, and then I'll shift the same question.
Well, Okay. I'm trying to remember. I have siblings. Yes.
Okay, you can be 5, you can be 7, whatever.
So-
Good memory on that pace.
7. God, I would have been just in maybe like primary. We do different school systems, but primary 3 and 7. So I was quite a quiet wee boy. I
Okay.
think I was quite,
You were pretty small.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was very small too. I
yeah.
was 5'1" at the end of my sophomore year of high school.
I was a small guy
Really little.
with potentially a mullet still at that point. My mum and
Okay.
dad did that to me.
All right.
Great.
Right. I had a mullet too, but
Yeah.
I was popular.
Yeah.
It was still
Well,
popular.
I mean, it was kind of popular back in the day as well. My dad was an old rocker who had a mullet, and so it was just one of those things.
And what did he settle into? I assume he was, or was he a musician your whole growing up?
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So my dad.
So that's cool. That's quite a different
Yeah.
experience too.
So I kind of grew up with that, and although I was singing from a very young age because, as I say, my dad's a singer, but also my nana and papa, his mum and dad, were also singers.
Oh wow.
So they used to have this really lovely, like, tape recorder that had a microphone attached to it, and we used to just sing nursery rhymes with, and it was always, the cousins and things like that, and we'd always just go up and we'd get this little thing out, we'd sing lots of different nursery rhymes into this tape recorder, and that was sort of where it all kind of started, and then, as I got older, I think it just sort of progressed, and as I was saying earlier, you kind of stop things for a while because you don't want to be seen or too much attention or whatever. But I mean, at 7 years
Can't be
old,
striving too much.
No.
at 7, oh God, I was just I was into Captain Planet,
Right.
and lots of
Well
lots
done.
of other
Well
stuff, and that's called a callback in the comedy
Were
world.
you early in the sibling?
I was.
stack?
I was. So we come from a bit of a blended family.
Sure.
My dad was married before he met my mum, and my mum was married before she met my dad. So I have 4 older siblings, 3 of which were my dad's, 1 of which was my mum's, and then I would have at 7 had a younger sister as well, Diane, and I was technically in the household.
So that's a pretty big crew.
That's a
Yeah,
Was that big
Well-
for Scotland?
Yeah. When you get but
It's pretty normal to have big families. there.
Yeah,
But
but
the Scots, they kept the Catholics out pretty much, right?
Right.
It's mostly Protestants.
well,
Catholics
that's
versus Protestant.
that's
and
a lovely
still
conversation
a
for
thing.
another
We could
day.
spend 2 hours on that.
Oh, we
probably.
could easily.
But yeah, so my older siblings on my dad's side, they lived with their mum, and they came at the weekends. And my older brother and younger sister lived in our house.
Yeah,
so
they lived together.
I was the middle child, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I obviously, didn't like being ignored. So I was like, I'm going to go on a fucking TV show and I'm going to show you all, and you're going to look at me.
Right.
No, but no. At 7, I was a quiet kid. I had, a best friend who was just 7 doors down the road, and we were kind of inseparable. Me and Ryan, and just with
great
normal
childhood.
kid, played down the woods and
In the
things
village.
like that in
In the
the
village.
village, and and that's to take it back to Sunrise Ranch. I said to Meredith the other day, I love that community feel, because at home we have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child,
Yeah.
and it really does, because I was always at other people's homes,
Right.
like we have another saying, you'd get a jam piece at anybody's door. And
yeah.
I was that kid.
It's like a
I
piece
would
of toast with some jam, because
Yeah.
your dad was off doing music gigs
Yeah,
and different things.
yeah. I mean,
a lot
oh, no,
and
he-
stuff. And
he gigged at the weekend and
Okay.
and he worked through the week.
Oh, right.
And and my mum was always, and because obviously they had 3 kids at home, it was like shift work. So one would be out in the morning and one would be overnight, and it would, and then we'd go to my granny and grandpa's, or we'd go down
yeah.
the street to anybody's house.
I mean, I grew up in a village of about 100 people.
Yeah.
And like when you got to be 5, you got a bicycle and a pass,
Yeah, same.
basically.
Same.
And, a
Exactly
certain
the
same.
timeline to be home.
See you
Yeah,
later.
good luck, don't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
exactly the same. And even at a young age, it was just such a nice place to grow up, just because everybody knew who
Yeah.
I was, and everybody looked out for you, and it was it was just nice. And that sense of community, it takes it, it's why places like Sun Ranch, as you were saying to yourself, a commune living, or a community where
Tight knit.
you just
a really tight knit
where
community.
you just all coexist and
Well,
and
and hopefully, probably
Yeah.
you saw a lot of the same kind of notion at the Rotary Club the other day.
Yeah.
Like,
oh,
it's pretty cool.
absolutely.
Those, even though we're only
Absolutely.
together for that hour every week, you know, and they have other engagements and stuff, but those people love each other.
Yeah,
a
well, and
lot,
they look
you know, and
they
they're
look
from
out
a
for
very
each other.
diverse backgrounds and senses
It's
and all that
great.
stuff, and they still love each other.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, so to answer your question, my upbringing actually was similar but different. I mean, I grew up on a ranch outside of Houston.
Outside of Houston, okay.
Yeah, and
And what was the circumstances? Like a real working ranch? Like
it
you're
was.
okay.
It was. It was actually my great.
Not a ranch with oil. Oh, ranch with oil wells.
It was a ranch with oil wells.
That's why you were able to get a harp.
Yeah, exactly right. It was actually my great grandfather's ranch.
That's cool.
It was very cool, and he had umpteen acres. And after he died, my great grandma sold off the plots. And it became this makeshift neighborhood. So by the time
wow.
I was born, we had loads of houses and kids, and
Oh, wow.
so we sat on 5 acres, and we could see, you know, the nearest house was 10 acres
Yeah,
away
yeah,
because
yeah.
everybody had acreage.
All these little ranchettes
It
almost.
was brilliant,
Yeah, yeah.
and we had like girl gangs, and we would terrorize the neighborhood and
Yeah.
go karts.
Because it's all young families, pretty much.
Exactly, and
you were in a gang.
girl gang. It was girl power
Uh-huh.
era. You know, they had
Spice Girls.
we had chickens. So my mom raised chickens, and we had our own vegetables. And then my neighbor had horses and raised their own vegetables, and
Yeah.
another one had a trout pond. And
Oh, wow.
so we had I had the most incredible upbringing, and then my dad taught me to shoot when I was, I don't know, 8. He would take me out, and we'd go all the way down, you know, to the very end of the cul-de-sac,
Right.
and
Where there
very,
weren't
very
any more
back.
houses past there.
Exactly, and we'd save the gallons of milk, you know, for weeks, and then Dad would take me out and
You
taught
fill
me
them
how
up
to
with
shoot.
water, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah, you only explode. Good when you do that.
Yes, exactly. So I learned how to shoot from a very young age and play piano, and you know,
Yeah.
live free and.
And what did
pick
your dad
blackberries.
do for, like, income and
Yes,
employ?
my dad is an optometrist, or
Oh, that's
or he
right.
was. He
I actually met him.
retired. Yes,
I
yeah,
remember now.
yeah.
So-
he was there. He was there.
So
at
he had a
Rotary.
professional career, kind
He
of
did.
about.
He did, and so did my mom. So my mom
Yeah.
was she worked in psychiatric hospitals, and she
Okay.
was a therapist. And
Yeah, yeah.
she did that for a really,
Probably not
really
very
long
easy.
time. It was not very easy. So she retired very young.
Right.
And
just
helped my
enough of
dad
this.
with his work.
And then other siblings, too?
No, it's just
You're
me.
solo.
It's
Oh, no,
just
that's the other reason
me.
you got a harp.
I also got a harp.
Princess.
Yeah,
Yes,
princess,
definitely
yes.
princess. I was like, yeah, this
It's
know,
okay.
gun
Nothing to
toting
feel guilty
thing
about,
is
yeah.
great, but I really want to live in a castle and
Yeah, yeah.
play
I'm
harp.
only jealous. Like,
Well,
I'm
I
only
think,
jealous.
I mean,
It's okay.
frankly, every man kind of wants a princess that can shoot.
Well, there you go. I am that woman.
This episode is sponsored by Loco Think Tank. Loco Think Tank provides peer collaboration for business owners. We build smart, safe places to help business leaders navigate every stage of the business journey, and we love what we do and who we do it with. Our model features give-back-minded business veterans in the role of Loco facilitators, and we're always looking for abundance-minded individuals to add to our membership, facilitator team, Loco community, or to feature on this podcast. Listeners of this podcast who go on to become members of Loco Think Tank get their 6th month of membership for free. Just mention the Loco Experience podcast on your application. To learn more, visit our website at locothinktank.com. That's LOCO thinktank.com.
So, let's do quick. We're gonna do the quick hitters because we always talk about faith, family, politics,
Okay.
and we already talked about Catholics and Protestants in Scotland and stuff. So we've got some ground set here if you
Okay.
want. But
Yeah.
do you have a preference on where we start?
No,
All right,
I don't know. Open book.
let's talk faith.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas is like the home of the Baptist. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Pretty
yeah,
much.
devout. Yeah, my great grandmother. I would go to church with her. She was a devout Baptist.
Okay.
I wasn't really
Less so in your
raised
folks'
anything. So my parents were old hippies.
there.
So
yeah.
very spiritually based, but also very open to all religions.
yeah.
So when I was a kid,
I learned about Hindu and Buddhism.
I learned about
and,
everything. I
yeah.
mean, I always had this joke that my godparents were Jewish, my grandmother was Baptist. I went to Catholic school,
Oh, wow.
and my best friend was Muslim. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all true. And it's very, very diverse for
Yeah,
me for
yeah.
growing up. which I think is the best way to
And
be.
has it remained that for you? Have you?
I think it has. I went to Catholic
Do you have a
school.
personal faith now that you exercise? We could say.
I am a regular power of prayer. Like I love my prayer, especially when I need it most. It's there.
Yeah.
But I would say meditation is really where my mind goes most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's been very, very powerful for me.
Is there a creator being in your understanding of
for sure.
the metaphysical?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's across
Whether his name
science.
is Yahweh or Jesus or
it's all
Buddha
the same
or
thing. The universe, or you know,
kind of
I think
universality. You don't think they're different as much as they are the same in some respects.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right. Jai, would you like to take on the same topic?
Yeah, sure. So I almost similar. I grew up and I was christened Protestant.
Okay.
However, my mum, I hope my mum doesn't
Just
listen
Protestant? Like
Well,
they don't have the divisions like we do here in
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
America,
Well,
like the
they're-
Methodists and the Baptists and all that.
to this. Yeah.
Not as diverse.
Yes.
Not
There's
as
probably
diverse.
Church of England, and then those that said that's a bunch of bullshit.
It's the
but
Church
we're
of
also
Scotland.
Protestants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Church of, yeah.
Okay.
So it's what would be Church of Scotland,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But I would be Christian by
Instead of
faith.
Catholic,
Yeah.
like we
Correct.
still agree that Martin Luther
Excuse
was
me.
right, mostly.
He and a lot of others.
Right. Fair. Okay.
But yeah, that was from my mum's point of view, and I think this sounds really bad towards my mum, but it's not. It was sort of the thing that people done.
Right.
It
No, I
wasn't.
think
It wasn't.
that's
She
normal.
did. Yeah, she did go to church when we were kids, and then fell away from it as she's gotten older. My dad grew up quite similarly to Meredith. His parents allowed them to grow up and choose their own faith. And one of my aunts is Catholic, the other one is Christian. My dad and my uncle are nothing.
Just didn't
technically,
engage,
yeah.
really.
So they didn't really, and I'm sort of, if I'd been left to my own devices, I think I'd have been the same. Like
Same as your father.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, yeah. And I think because, and it's not, I believe in, spirit, universe, that sort of thing. Obviously there is something.
Something spun it all up. It seems
But
hard to not
do I
think that.
have a specific faith? No, not really.
Fair.
And I have, at high school for us, but it would be secondary. We
Okay.
did do religious education, and I found myself drawn to many different faiths, and I loved listening, like hearing about the way different people would
Kind of
worship
approach those hard
and,
challenges,
and,
if you will.
and do and how they dealt with life struggles and all that sort of thing. So I wouldn't say I don't specifically go to sort of prayer, but yes, meditation would be something that I
Fair.
would go to, and finding just the stillness and the quiet within myself rather than
Yeah.
outwardly. And
Well, I think that's frankly very biblical because there's like a still small voice that's commonly mentioned. You just gotta,
Oh, it totally is.
be there
Prayer and
listen.
meditation, I believe, are the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, if you do it
same.
right,
Yeah,
you are there.
Yeah, well, and depending on the faith background you're talking about, what's the manifestation?
Oh yeah.
There's some people that think their manifestation powers are a little bit outside the box of what really could be or whatever. It seems a little bit like wishiness.
yeah.
But I do think that, prayer moves whatever that
It's-
force is that
I believe that.
happens. Let's talk about family just a little bit more. Let's stay on you, Jai. So was your dad like a median level star of sorts? Like, was he a common name across Scotland kind of thing in the music career, or was it more of a...
I mean, we couldn't go anywhere without someone knowing who my dad was, but
Okay.
it wasn't sort of like celebrity as such. It was just he played in a lot of places and he
Right.
played for a long, long time.
Yeah,
And he has, for all intents, he has a good reputation. Do you know,
Right.
like my dad is a good musician. He works hard.
Yep.
For instance, like even now he's in his late 60s, and he will gig for 4.5 hours straight. Whereas young men who do this gig, like that kind of job, will be like, I'm going to take an hour and then a 15-minute break and then another hour and then a 15.
Yeah.
So it's like, man up. However,
Totally.
but he's an incredible man. Like,
but he never
genuinely.
made more than like a middle class income, probably, or upper middle class, maybe a few years.
Yeah. I mean, he's always had a day job, as I would call it. However, I mean, I always tell Fred, like, he gigs more than I do.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's always on the go.
He's always out.
Right, because he loves it.
Yeah.
Jill and I went to, do you know who Steve Miller Band is?
Oh,
Yes, I do, yeah.
So we went to
absolutely.
Steve Miller Band at the Budweiser Event Center this
Nice.
last year, and he's 79 or 81.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that fucking guy loves to play music.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing he would rather do than go out there and be on the road 130 days a year.
Yeah. Well, I
love
always
it.
say that to people. I genuinely can't see a day where I don't do what I do.
Yeah.
That's
I love it.
and it's a blessing and a curse. I think. Like, I look at people like Meredith,
for
and she's
sure.
like, she does so much things, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah, just
I'm all right. I'll just focus on this.
there's a band here in town you guys should check out, if not this time, next time around, but it's called A Brothers Fountain. Actually, my lead-in song for the podcast is their original
wow.
music, but
Oh, cool.
they've got a song recently that's kind of like, it doesn't really matter if I'm playing in my garage or playing at Red Rocks 10 years from now, I'm going to be playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not
Nice.
going to change.
Nice.
You know, hopefully it's Red Rocks, because then we can quit doing so much other shit to try to stay alive and in our mortgages.
Yeah, exactly.
But family, that's where we kind of went. Oh,
Oh,
no, we
yeah.
kind of started with you on
Yeah.
family, but I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's sufficient probably. We kind
Yeah.
of finished
Well,
up
all right.
Faith. So you've talked a fair bit about your family already. You're an only child, but you want to give some special kudos to grandmas, moms, whatever, anybody that's been really significant for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my kids.
Your kids, of
my,
course.
My
duh.
kids, yeah.
Oh, shit, I forgot, kind of. We haven't talked about that much.
That's okay. I have twin boys. They were 11.
Okay.
They're going to be 12 this year.
Yes.
And, I mean...
Do you want to talk about your ex-husband, too?
No.
Okay.
No.
I asked the questions nobody wants to answer. I do have a question, though.
yeah.
Actually, I forgot to warn you, so this is going to be spontaneous. But we ask people for a one-word description of their children.
Okay.
Most of the time, would you be willing to do that of your two boys? Is it the same word? Are they identical twins or
Stop it.
fraternal twins?
They're fraternal.
He's got his words
I know
already
he does.
figured
He knows.
out.
He knows my boys very well.
Well, I'll come back to you, Jai. You can share those.
Yeah,
Oh.
I would say rambunctious. I think is
Do you have
Very good
a
word.
different word for each of them, though? If you were going to try to describe them to
they are very different.
Yeah.
I have one that is very studious.
studious. Okay.
Yes. So Alexander has wanted to be a doctor since he was about 2.
Oh, wow.
And he had actually a doctor's name picked out, like you would have a stage name. He has a doctor name, and he is Dr. Kilmarnock, and Kilmarnock is actually the town where he was born. So he wants to be a Dr. Kilmarnock, which is
Okay.
hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But he's dedicated that is his
Yeah.
path, and still to
Well,
this
if
day,
he's sounds like he's full of perseverance, potentially.
he definitely is.
I don't know where it gets.
I have no idea.
Yeah. It's mysterious.
But and then there's William.
William's my favourite.
William is Jai's favorite,
Well,
and
yeah.
I shouldn't
and
say that,
likewise
but
they.
yeah.
Well, I don't
I'm
think
sure it's
Alexander
mutual.
would be offended.
Right.
I like Alexander too.
He's fine.
Alexander
Just for the record.
loves you too.
No. William's just more like me.
William is
hilarious.
rambunctious. William
I'll do.
is the
Yeah, yeah.
actor. He is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
comedian. He is constantly trying to make you
High
laugh.
energy.
Very high energy.
High emotional
Alexander is
intelligence.
too. But yeah, they're very different kids. They're
Yeah.
wonderful, and I'm
Do the
very lucky.
What's it say?
No,
No, they're fraternal.
they are very different.
I gotcha.
Yeah, they're very different
Well,
kids.
until you give them a set of Nerf guns, and then they're pretty much the same.
And
they
then
they will shoot you in the face.
Yes, they will shoot you in the face.
That's what Nerf guns are
the
for.
hardest part about being a twin mom is when they team up, because then they're like twin power, unite,
yeah.
you know, and it's double trouble, and it really is. It's just, yeah, it is. It's great. I
love it.
love being a mom.
what do you hope for them and their kind of next chapters? Like, would you want them to have a more normal existence, or should they go have weird harp things?
What's normal?
I guess there isn't really a normal thing, is there?
No. I hope that they have a very fulfilling, adventurous life. Like that is the life that I have tried to build for myself and experience as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I want that for them.
I dig it.
Definitely want that for them.
Politics.
You can have this one.
We're well, though I would be curious, John. I'm going to start with you.
Oh,
actually,
great.
go
I
back.
should have shut my face.
Short.
What do like? I'm sure. I would suspect. I'm going to put a theory out there that the average Scotsman's opinion of Donald Trump has changed quite a bit over the last 10 years. Am I wrong or right?
I don't think it's changed at all, but
No?
I don't know.
I don't know.
To be fair, 10 years ago, I didn't really have an opinion
Yeah.
about Donald Trump.
Right.
I think that'd be
And
fair.
Over,
then he became president.
yeah, over the last, well, it'll be what, no, does it work out? Well, it'll be 10.
Well, he was
technically
4, Biden was 4,
4
so
and
it was
4,
really
yeah.
8 years
Right,
ago
so 8.
plus.
Yeah. I mean, I've obviously got to be careful because I'm here for another week. But
I don't think he'll deport you yet.
no.
He doesn't have
Yeah,
that
you
many
never
We're
resources.
getting on a plane on Monday.
So it
yeah.
isn't a positive then, and it still isn't now, or
I don't. Right. So I don't live in America.
sure.
So I don't know the impacts.
How we got
of,
so fucked up that we had to choose between Biden and Trump
There's not much choice.
or
however.
Hillary. Yeah.
However, I think you I hate to say that I shouldn't comment because I'm not from here, because obviously the outreach, that sort of
It matters.
power, yes,
Frankly. Yeah.
the sort of control that leaders have, it echoes worldwide nowadays because of everything. But it depends, because some issues he'll be great for, other issues not so much. So
Okay.
it just depends where you are.
Priorities?
Yeah, kind of. But yeah. What you focus on. It depends what you're focusing on.
Yeah.
Because I would say that there are a lot of things that I've seen in the last week or so that have upset me because of people that I care about. However, there are going to be a lot of things that will benefit other people that I care about. So it just depends.
I mean, that's kind of
Very
the thing about being a decider, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
going to be
Hard choices.
Yeah, and you're
Hard
never
choices, always.
gonna please everybody. And yeah, as a human
You're
being,
good.
I don't know him.
yeah.
So
You're very diplomatic. I love it.
However, it's just that way. Would I be his mate? Would I go for a drink with him? Probably not.
Fair.
But yeah,
All right.
so it's kind of where I'm at.
I did speech in high school just a little bit, and one of my favorites was Bill Cosby, who was very popular at
yeah.
the time because he was
Love Bill Cosby.
And I still quote him because I'm a fucking libertarian. I'm going to quote him, but it's funny shit. It doesn't matter, you know.
Exactly.
He might have raped people or whatever. It doesn't make this line any less bad or any less good. But it's I don't know this. I don't know the secret to success, but I know that the secret to failure is to try to please everybody. Yes. So anyway,
Ooh,
that was one of my
that's
lines
deep.
that I used to.
It's really deep there.
But it speaks to the challenge of being the decider, being the
and-
president,
yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
Alma in my office is Hispanic descent, and she was talking about, what's this ICE thing gonna happen? Like, it's great if it's criminal and stuff, but I know quite a few people that are not here on papers right now that
yeah.
are a little nervous about
Yeah.
what's gonna happen,
Oh, for sure.
and so that's real stuff. And if you're listening, whatever, Trump or any of your lackeys, she's not going to give up any names about where to find those people.
No.
No, I'm teasing, but I mean, it's a real concern, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to be sensitive. Like, I'm pretty sure they're just focused on the people with a lot of arrests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, I can't say I guarantee you that people that you love aren't
Yeah.
going to potentially get caught in
Deported.
this too.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't say necessarily even that it's not the right thing to do, because like, they did break the law, like with their first act to get here, and a lot of other people like waited a long time to get their papers, including her parents, for example.
For sure. I've been on the other side of that. I
Right.
mean, I had to
How many
apply.
years did you have to wait?
10?
Right.
10, 12 years.
Right. So they at least shouldn't have a fast track, in my opinion. I'm a justice warrior, I
Yeah.
feel like, and so anyway, that's just one small example of one topic where you're like,
It's really interesting.
where's it going to go?
I think it's fascinating. It's a really fascinating topic.
Do you have
I mean,
some things to share as well?
I've played for Trump, so
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I've told you. Well, in the Rotary speech, Trump Turnberry, and Ayrshire's a really interesting place. And
Turnberry's in Scotland, so
yes, yeah, it's about 20 minutes south of
so you're
Ayr.
kind of the standard harp player for any world leader. That
Yeah,
happens to be in
that's just
Scotland.
I think that's a better title for me, don't you?
Harpist to royalty.
To world leaders. Ayrshire's
Nazis.
amazing.
Just kidding. I'm teasing.
King Charles is one direction, and President Trump is the other
Oh, right.
direction, and it's like they're only
contrast in
20
personality
minutes.
could
Oh,
be
totally. They're very
more.
controversial, and I've played for both of them.
Yeah,
And I said this to the Rotary as well. Both wildly unpopular in their own respects.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I was asked to play for Trump, I really had to think about it because he's not popular in Scotland at all.
Right.
When he
You thought
came
you might have got
over,
blackballed just
I was
for
thinking
having
this
done
could
that.
be bad for my
Yeah.
my reputation, for my career, or not. Like it was a really big question for me. I reached out to some of my colleagues. I reached out to former teachers of mine. And I said, "What would you do in this situation?" And I got some really good advice. One of my harp teachers, Ian, he's played for the royal family for many years. He played for the
Right.
Pope. Like he's
never
played
got
for
gassed.
big. He was fine. So he said to me, "It's a job, and hotels, which of course Trump owns, Trump Turnberry." He said hotels go through different iterations of owners all the time.
Right.
And from his own experience, he was going, this is a job, and the job is potentially a lot bigger than the owner. And this is
Interesting.
something that you should consider doing. And I did. And it was great, and I
Can I
loved the
be
job.
like super noisy? No, not noisy. Nosy. You could be super noisy, Jai. Yeah, I want to hear the. No, but like when you do a 3-hour harp gig in the ballroom at some Trump event at the castle, like is that worth $1,000? Is it worth $5,000? Is it worth $20,000? Like I have no idea.
50
Right? Is it worth
pounds.
$300? I have I have no idea like what your dollar per hour is when
Yeah.
you're working for these fancy pants people.
Yeah,
In particular, I'm sure
it
there's
depends. It depends. I mean, I was hired by Dior to play for them for 5 nights, and that was a pretty penny.
Yeah.
That was a really good gig. Alternatively, I'll play gigs for 200 quid
For weddings in Scotland.
for
of
weddings
your
in
friends,
Scotland,
and it's
all
just
the way
around
up. I mean,
corner.
the
And
most.
a quid is like a pound or a quid?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
The biggest gig that I ever did, I didn't want to do. And I actually, I quoted for it a stupid amount. I was like, I don't really want to do it. It was a big wedding in the middle of winter. I was like, not interested. And a friend of mine said, just quote for it. Just stupid money.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, for the day, 2,500.
Okay.
And because I really didn't want to do it. And they said, yeah, that's fine. I was like, shit. I could have asked for
Now I have to
more.
do it, right.
And I have to do it now. So it does. It just depends on the circumstances.
That's a really
of the gig.
interesting, that's probably one of the more fascinating things about being a musician, especially a niche musician, is like the price is kind of what makes sense for you and makes sense for me.
Yeah.
And what their budget is.
Right,
and who
right,
it's for,
right,
and what-
right. And if it's 400 people in front of Trump and, and Elon Musk is paying the tab, well, then it's 10
Yeah.
grand,
Yeah.
or whatever. It doesn't really matter what the price is. If you want me, then this is. But then there's other, like your cousin's wedding, 10 miles away, or even not your cousin, but your cousin's friend's cousin.
Yeah.
Because Scotland is small.
It is.
And you're like, yeah, 200 quid, 300 quid,
So we're
I
all
just-
related.
Right, but,
Yeah.
all
Well,
related.
compared to a lot of people like lawyers, it's like it's $1.50 an hour. right?
Yeah.
Or business consultants, even to some extent, you're kind of got that timer on there. Well, how much time is this going to take? How much should it pay?
Yeah, for sure.
But in music,
The day
it's kind
rate.
of like, I don't know what you got.
Yeah.
Like, let's hear about
Yeah.
it and let's talk about what makes sense.
Yeah.
It's probably the
Yeah.
same for you.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. I mean, I've done exactly the same myself. I've looked at a gig, thought, oh, God, I don't want to do this.
Right,
Quoted silly money, and they've agreed, and I've went, oh shit.
right.
And then it's that way. It's like, and again, it's the old adage of like, you're not just paying for someone to turn up at your gig and do the gig on that day. You're paying for the years of experience that person has.
Totally.
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
hours
it's,
of practice.
Yeah. And it's and
Rehearsal.
for us, I mean, Meredith's been playing since she was a child. I've been singing since I was a child. So we
Yeah.
practiced for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We know what we're doing. And it sometimes, as you were saying, you think it takes you a long time to get to the point of realization that actually I'm really good at what I do.
Sure. Yeah. Like stepping into your brilliance in a way. Kind of.
And it's...
Well, we study
Yeah.
longer than most other professions.
Sure.
Musicians,
Oh, yeah.
like Jay was saying, we start as children.
Right. And if you were here, next winter visiting again in Colorado, and I had a local think tank social for 45 business owners, and I was willing to give you $200, maybe you'd do it.
so
Right? It's totally dishonoring,
It'll
but
be $200 and another swag bag, thank you.
yes. And it is my,
And a plane ticket.
Oh, and the plane ticket. Yeah, I need
well,
to get
no,
here.
you'd have to already be here because we don't have budget for
Okay.
that.
Well,
You'd have to already
we'll
be
see
here.
if we can work something out.
Yeah.
If we can get somebody else to pay for the plane ticket.
It'll
your
be
man.
fine.
If I could double book you, we could figure it out maybe.
A mini tour around
Yeah, I was
Colorado.
going to say mini tour.
So,
Maybe
I guess while we're still kind of on politics, we can get off of Trump, but just get into like world politics. Like we're like got a lot of intense stuff. Like, any thoughts on where we go from here? What do the next 2 years look like? Any guesses?
We're all gonna die.
No, don't
Yeah.
say that.
I mean, we
I'm
could
joking.
if
Oh,
World
I
War
mean,
III starts.
God,
yeah.
don't say that.
I mean, yeah. I was kind of kidding, but then I realized actually I might,
mean,
not,
could,
I might
yeah.
not be
No,
joking.
I don't think we're heading that
Jeez,
way.
But I mean, I hope that we are heading for better days. And I know that might be naive, but it's the thing is, people are more aware of what's going on. And I think with social media, or I say they're more aware. Are we just being fed?
Right,
However,
right. That's a good question.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, we'll never like my dad's a massive conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
He talks about loads of things, and I listen to him, and I'm like, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but you're literally ruining your own life and your own time here on this
Yeah,
planet by riling yourself up.
right.
being consumed by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's
easily done.
and I understand it because he cares and he wants, but at the same time, I will take this stuff in, but I don't always let it affect me because how much
can't.
change?
Well, you
Yeah,
can't.
how much
You can't
change
change it anyway.
can I do? And I'm not, I am one of many. And I know that, if we all band together and all that, like unions
Sure.
and things like that, like I totally understand how all that works. But yeah, it's
Well, I've been in organizations before where, consulted in organizations before, that it was that mentality. It's like, well, I can't affect the bigger picture. And I
Right.
know that I can't. It's just impossible. But when you band together and you go, well, I can only affect what I do and what my actions are and what the actions of those around me
Yeah.
and can have impact there, then I'm making a difference for the bigger whole.
yeah.
But in terms of the big picture, I don't know. I mean, I think that this is a really interesting time to be alive.
Like we're right in the precipice, probably, hopefully, of the Russia-Ukraine war ending.
I think so.
You know,
I
to
think
me,
we're
it's
moving towards
like
peace.
so.
obvious that there has to be a deal that Ukraine doesn't get to be in NATO. Just part of the rules, that's just Ukraine's going to lose a little territory over there, the Russian-speaking part, and otherwise things can
Please
kind of go
stop
back
invading.
to where they were.
Like, please stop.
Exactly, and you agree not to invade anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know what the stick is for that necessarily, but I mean, to me, that's the obvious. Well, that was the obvious conclusion 2 years ago.
Well, maybe now we have a chance. I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, now that we've killed another couple 100,000
Yeah.
people,
What will it take?
we can go back to the same deal we had
What
2
will it
years
take?
ago.
Yeah.
Very
Anyway,
interesting.
I got nothing else for you right now. Let's do the loco experiences.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the craziest experience of your lifetime that you're willing to share with our listeners.
Oh, wow.
And presumably individual experiences.
Craziest experience.
I heard you punch Simon Crowell.
I mean, you got his second name wrong, so I can answer that with a yes. No, I'm joking. I did not.
Okay.
No. God, my craziest experience, I've had quite a lot, to be fair.
You've had a lot of
I
crazy.
Like
I've had
near-death
quite-
experiences or
Oh, I have
crazy?
died.
Well, obviously the
I've
voice.
died.
You
Yeah.
died?
Yeah, I died.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a baby, so I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I was literally born, and then my lungs collapsed, stopped
Okay.
breathing, and I was dead. I was
No
dead.
shit.
And
then somebody went-
and I was and somebody brought me back.
No shit. That's cool.
So yeah, so I've died.
You
That's-
started out with
But,
a...
I wonder
I
how
was
much
like-
more normal you would be if that event hadn't occurred. I'm just kidding. You probably wouldn't have had those big lungs.
I was going to say.
It was
that's-
those.
Yeah.
It was those big
Yeah.
overinflated lungs from the
That's it.
CPR that hooked you
No,
up with that juice.
I mean, what is normal? I don't even like. I don't even. You know what? I spent
Nobody's
a lot of my
normal.
life
Yeah.
trying to be normal, and do you know what? See, when I accepted the fact that I wasn't fucking normal, life got better.
There's wisdom in that.
And yeah, God, crazy stuff. Jeez, I have done so much. I
How
keep
about
coming back.
winning the talent show.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that. Do you know what? One of the most liberating things,
Okay.
and it was a bit crazy, and because I keep going back to you asked me straight away, and it was the first thought I had, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I went to Australia in 2010. One of my best friends moved over there.
This was while
to
you were
Melbourne.
still like a broke unknown dude.
Yes, I actually
Okay, I
was
like it.
severely broke, but I had
Scraped up enough to get to Australia.
Well, I had the chance. Well, that's the thing. So I was also broke when I was there because I just used basically all of my wages. But I had the chance to go over. My friend was like, "We have time. I have space," and I thought, "I'm never gonna get this chance ever." So I went over and we ended up. She paid for flights for there was 3 of us at the time, well 4 of us including.
so you were like
Katia.
gigolo at the time?
Oh yes, I was. No,
He's got these
Still
women
is.
paying you to
Still
come to
is.
Australia with them. I don't know.
no, she didn't pay for my ticket to get there.
Okay, all right.
When I got there, she was in a pretty decent position. She had a good job, so she paid for myself and my 2 friends that went over to go to Sydney, and we had a camper van and we went down the coast.
Oh, cool.
Back to Melbourne, but and actually I've just realised that we could have been killed by sharks. But anyway, it's fine. We ended up at night time going onto the beach, having a drink, and going skinny dipping.
Oh.
And it was just one of those moments where the sky was clear, the moon was out, the stars were out. It was just such a magical moment. And yeah, I was naked in the water. So that was kind of, but it was one of those things where, do you know what?
Yeah. I get
It was just liberating.
I remember
And
my
was
first
like,
time being naked in the
this is
water. It
great,
was
yeah.
a hot springs for
Yeah.
me here
I mean,
in Colorado.
I wish I
but
had
Nice.
went to a hot spring. I did not, and I
but it's
definitely came out with a vagina.
You know, it's different than being in a bathtub. Like being in a
Yeah,
in
but
a
it is,
public
it is,
place
yes.
and being butt ass
Yes.
naked. Like there's
Yeah,
there's
It's
something
just-
to
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I've done it several times since. And it's
Perfect.
it's been great, but
Very liberating.
wonderful. Meredith, your turn.
my turn. I don't know.
I don't know what the accent's about. The other one.
I know. Well, it's you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Well,
trying
you
to
did
think.
get like gassed from being the king's harpist
yeah.
for
That's-
like talking about being the king's harpist. Or
Yeah,
something.
that was probably the craziest story.
Can you like because I was at the Rotary Club
Yeah.
when you talked about? Can you kind of recap it a little bit?
Yeah, I
for-
can talk about that. In 2018, I had released, or it was in process of releasing, my debut album.
Okay.
When Walls Speak, and it took me 3 years to write. It was dedicated to Dumfries House, which was King Charles's Scottish residence, personal
right.
residence. And I put my heart and soul into this project because it had given me so much. Like Dumfries House
Sure.
was amazing for me as a harpist. And as a result, the Dumfries House PR team said, we will help you promote it. And, we'll give you the space in the concert.
I wondered culturally if it was like a little bit like, ooh, are you trying to use your position here with Dumfries House to like get?
No, I don't think so.
edge or
They
something,
certainly
but
didn't.
That wasn't a problem.
No,
Okay.
no, because it was a very sincere
They wanted
thing.
to be, it was,
They
it
wanted to
was
be helpful.
honoring from
It
your
was.
perspective.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, that was the intention.
Right.
And so the team that I worked with were brilliant, and they wrote a press release for me and sent it out across the UK. I mean, I was in loads of papers before the album release, and it went out to the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail took the press release and they basically ripped it up. And they called me and said, "Hey, we'd like an interview." And I said, "Well, I can't talk about playing for His Majesty. I can't. But, read the press release and off you go." And they basically ripped it up and wrote their own story. And I ended up being in Eden Confidential, which is the scandal section of
That's like the
Daily Mail.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And in Eden Confidential, it basically ripped me a new one and said, Meredith McCrindle, and it fabricated it twisted a lot of the facts of reality.
This American harpist that's been rumored to have spent one-on-one time with King Charles.
King Charles, it was really...
Was it really like that? Like scandalous?
You can read it. It's still online.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and the title of the article was Meghan Markle, not the only American to captivate Prince Charles.
Oh, damn.
And then it went on to say, he spotted me at during my time at St. Andrews, where Prince William was. And, and now he hand selected me to be his resident harpist, Dumfries House. It was all fabricated.
Right. I've never even met him, really.
No, I never. I had seen him across the room. Like, it wasn't an actual thing. I was a member of staff, effectively, but they took it and they made their own story. And the ending line of the article was how long before Prince Charles, who played cello at Gordonston, asks Meredith for a duet. In incredible innuendos.
Oh, damn.
And I'm just going, you could read the article one of two ways. Either I won the lottery because now I am like this amazing resident harpist, or I'm having an affair with Prince Charles. And the organization, the Dumfries House, chose the latter.
They severed their
so they pulled me in the office and they said, "Meredith,
contract with you.
You gave this interview." And I said, "I didn't. I swear that was not me. I turned it down." They pulled me in and they said, "We can no longer have you play for
like, it doesn't matter if it's
Highness.
Bullshit or not."
Yeah, and I said, "Honestly, it wasn't me." And they said, "We know a lot of people here have been Daily Mailed," and that was the term that they used.
Interesting.
And then there was a 5-year window where I did not play for His Highness, His Royal Highness at the time. And then in 2023, I was redeemed, and
brought back into good
I was
graces.
totally brought back, and it was the best day of my life. It was actually the day that my divorce was finalized.
Oh, wow.
I was in court, and it was finalized.
Well, that was because you were freed up for hanging out with
I know
King
now
Charles
it's all
now.
it's
He's not
all
even a
fine
prince anymore.
So
Can't wait to write that article.
no, right?
We're probably going to pick up this podcast.
That would be
right here.
great. It'll make us all. And I went. I knew I was leaving court to meet King Charles, and I thought that was the only thing that kept me going, because that was my redemption. Like, I knew that I was the only person in that courtroom going to meet His Majesty. Right. So, and I did, and I practiced my curtsy, and he was lovely. He asked me if I played a proper harp, and I was like, yes.
So far, so good.
I do. Yeah, I've actually played for you. It's been a few years, since that incident, but it was
Did you
great.
actually say that?
No.
Of course you don't.
Well, you guys have a show for Off the Hook Hearts here
Yes.
this week on the 30th. It'll be too late by the time anybody hears this to see the show, but I would encourage you to check out Off the Hook.
Definitely.
And,
Definitely great initiative.
As far as, like, if people want to check you guys out, do they just check out your names and Google you, I guess? Or?
Yeah, we have a YouTube stuff. We have YouTube stuff, and
We
we
have
have
YouTube channel,
a
Instagrams,
beautiful.
Facebooks.
We have a beautiful music video, all of me.
Yeah, well, check that out, too. Check out some of his covers.
Yeah, please do.
Thanks, guys, for
Please
being
do.
here.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Scott.
much, Kurt.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.